Hello and welcome back to ESA Cup, and we're on to those really good matches in the playoffs now. We're on those best of threes, but I'm not here alone on this desk. I'm joined by the wonderful TW.
Yeah, I'm here, Boobo. It's gonna be an absolutely amazing best of three today. Just like yesterday, where I was joined by Nash, it's gonna be a best of three, which will be for elimination between two titans of teams. Poobo, will you introduce us to these two teams that are gonna be playing for elimination here today?
Yeah, so today on the lineup we've got MVG, which used to formerly be two teams last season, but there's only one left, which is sort of their more European branch, and they're going to be facing against Team Pulse, both sort of lower table teams in those groups. I believe we've got some graphics to show on the stream, if I'm correct, that just break down sort of the overall statistics of these teams. But both of these are, it's very much going to be a scrap of those mid card teams, I would say. You may not have them sort of pegged as winning the whole thing, but it still should be a very close matchup. I believe MVG, they went 3-2 in their group, and Pulse only just slid into this playoffs phase, going 2-3, purely winning off of round differential, just beating out Tropicspan. So it was a very tense Group D, I believe it was, that has led to Pulse getting this position.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have to say that for both of these teams, to be honest, though. But for the one team going 3-2 and the other going 2-3, it's a tough time for both of these teams. So they've not necessarily had the easiest time so far. They've been under a lot of stress, and now they've got to be competing for that spot in order to get themselves a little spot further. And here, having a look at the stands, we see Team Pools over here, over towards the right side, and Group D at number 4. And their record, yeah, it's 2-2 with
I think
6 points.
missing the last play day because
Okay.
it's supposed to be 5 matches played. So I believe that is just missing last play day. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it
it
should
was
be
a
because
very close group.
I cannot see the 3-2 for Molotov Gaming either. So and it's still 3-1 over there. So yeah, Team Pulse going 2-3 and Molotov going 3-2. Both of them still keeping the same amount of points as they did right here, and probably even falling down a little bit. So they've had such a difficult time so far. I mean, now they're really gonna have to be playing for this, and it's really gonna be all up to who can really put an edge themselves above the other.
Yeah, we're just going to speed up because of a slight delay. So we're going to hop straight into these map bans here. It is a best of three, to just to remind anyone here. So it's going to be slightly different from the past few weeks. There will be, of course, 3 maps being played. And first off, you can see Chalet there, followed by Club, and then a bit of Sky if we get there. So first off, I guess I want to ask you, do you think we'll be seeing a map 3 here?
I'm not sure if we'll be seeing a map 3 here, to be honest. I feel like with the fact that that pools, no, actually not pools, MVG have had that little bit of an advantage. They've been playing a little bit better overall in this tournament. I feel like they should be able to take it 2-0 here today. I'll be surprised if pools can take it to a map 3. But if so, Skyscraper is a hell of a map to end off a best of three series with.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are people right there crying with happiness that Oregon hasn't managed to sneak its way into this lineup. Chalet maybe defaulting on the bordering on the bit of sort of the default maps as with Club. Skyscraper though is going to be, I'm sure, a phenomenal map if we get there. But first off, these two teams will have to sort of dredge through those more sort of standard maps, really show that they can deal with all the basics of the game. And I think especially with Clubhouse, that's really going to be shown here. And I believe we have got everyone in lobby, so we should be heading. Oh, never mind. We are making new lobby, so just hold on us a bit longer. I guess that gives us time to get on the socials vote. We every time ask you at home what you think the outcome of this match is going to be. So I think we have a socials vote out there that we can just bring up on the screen. And wow,
Oh,
that's a
yeah, there
lot
we go.
more one-sided than I thought. I guess there's a lot of MVG fans in the audience.
And I would have to agree with him. Like I said, MVG are looking strong, and MVG came here to play today. They brought the audience. Now they just have to show up. They've done all the pre work they could do. Hopefully, they did the training, of course, and their preparation here against Pools. Other than that, they just have to show up on this map and they just have to stomp up Pulse. But if not, if Pulse win this, it could be a real underdog story here at this ESA Cup because they will then be knocking MVG out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole narrative of getting into the playoffs just off of a sort of technicality like round differential, the fate was out of their hands. They lost that one match that would have confirmed them, and it was all up to Tropics not winning sort of dominant enough, which got them through here. I do think there is certainly a bit of a narrative building there. But if you kind of look at these playoffs matches, both of these teams only just scooting ahead in that first sort of play day with those overtime wins. And since then, it hasn't been a great story. Two losses for each. Team Pulse getting 7-1'd by MDF, MVG getting
Oh,
7-2'd by E-Wave. That being said, one of Molotov Gang's losses was an overtime 8-7 against Penta, who are currently sort of the top dogs qualified straight to finals. You can kind of brush off that as a sort of inevitable loss. So I do think MVG have overall handled these playoffs a lot better and perhaps almost been sort of suffered a bit just due to the whole seeding of the process. That being said, Team Pulse then lost to MDF as well, but that was a much sort of harsher loss there. So I would sort of agree with the fans here. MVG have looked like a stronger team throughout this whole season. So I would give it them, but maybe not 74% sort of that kind of dominant scoreline. I would think it'll be a lot closer.
yeah. I mean, you could say you could think so. I mean, of course, they still have the map to play. Of course, they've both gotten this far in this tournament. It's not like any of these both of these teams have necessarily been the top dogs, or they've necessarily been the dogs all the way on the at the bottom, just scraping for a couple of scraps. They've won their games. They've done a lot, some work in order to get themselves here. So it could, of course, be a close game. Pulse could, of course, show up here, but the statistic in my eyes, they really just point towards an MVG win. We'll just have to wait and see. I feel like the lobby should be ready right about now, so hopefully we should be able to head right into the game. If not, are there any more statistics that we perhaps could be looking over here, Pooble?
Just looking at, I guess, this first map being Chalet, Pulse have only played it once and they won it once. Meanwhile, on that MVG Germany side, they have actually played it 11 times and won it 7. So they seem to be much more confident on this. Obviously, it's not going to be the same roster. Molotov Gang Germany, as just a sort of team name, has stayed around a lot longer. Pulse is a very new name. So I guess you could say Pulse has that perfect record, even if it is just one win on Chalet. But it's still, I would say it paints a better picture of MVG here. They, at least as a team, have played this map more, so there's some kind of cohesion and synergy there almost. And you have a bigger sample size, and that's always more reliable, I guess, just basing information off of that.
Yeah, exactly. If you have that with that bigger sample size, you can more easier tell how a team will perform. Something like polls where you have that like smaller sample size, it's just gonna be you're just gonna have to rely on the smaller stats or on those days where it could be an off day or where you could have had something like that or yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry. Well, yeah, like that.
I guess another thing to add is in eFuture League, which is just a separate console league. The previous win of MVG was a 7-1 on Chalet, so there is a little bit of sort of momentum building up there already. You could argue that their most recent match has been a victory on that map. Of course, you could then flip that around and say, well, if Team Pulse has done their homework, they can watch that VOD, see what made MVG work so well. Maybe bring in a couple of counter strats. We can maybe see a couple of strange bans heading into that, just purely aimed at some of MVG strats on Chalet if they deem that appropriate and a way they should be winning this.
Yeah, and Shanghai in recent times has been one of those maps that has been really default, in my opinion. After the rework most recently, it's been some time now, of course, but after the most recent rework, we've seen a lot of teams switch around with the bomb sites, whatever bomb sites they take or they prefer on their defensive side, and even in the Voltage League, I saw some in their finals. I saw some weird bomb site preparations coming through. I hope that we could perhaps see that coming through as well here today because those could really just throw off a team, especially if a team like Pulse here can perhaps start off on defense. I'm not sure if they will be starting on defense, but if they put, for example, start on defense, they get a couple of weird bomb sites going, they get themselves on that pace here on Chalet, that defense Chalet, 4-2 scoreline. I feel like they should be able to perhaps even take this first map.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't sort of expect going into this to see something like some basement defenses, but if you want to catch your opponent off guard, don't play default. Is a strategy that's tried and tested. It can work, but it's also a roll of the dice. And when you're in an elimination spot, you maybe don't want to do that, but there's sort of there's arguments for both sides, and it's going to be really intriguing to see if this team chooses to be a little bit more out there, a bit more aggressive with their picks, a bit more out of the box with their strategies, just to throw everything at the wall and see if it works, or if when they're under this much pressure, they just fold back onto what they know the best, their default strategies. And Chalet is a map where really it's one of the few that can act in both ways. It's not really like Oregon where there is only one sort of set way of playing something. It's not like Clubhouse either, where that's also sort of strays into a similar effect. You can try a lot of stuff, and I'm very intrigued to see what Pulse will do, and also how MVG will respond if we see them use those same strats as their 7-1 win, or if they've gone completely different, knowing that they can't sort of play the same tricks twice on a team. So that's just something I'm really excited about.
Exactly. Like I said, this map, you can just play it in so many different variations on that defensive side. Also, on the attack, there's just so many different ways that you can approach this. There's so many different kind of tiny, tiny little differences you can do in your attacking approach, especially most recently with teams or defender teams more going upstairs. You have so many little windows that you can cover over that you could perhaps just use to your advantage on the attacking team, which if you switch it up a little bit, defenders won't really be expecting that. Stuff like that would really just make sure that whoever's playing on attack or on defense will really get a little edge over the other.
Yeah, I guess also just something we can kind of look out for is I think Chalet is one of those maps that really complements the new defender, Fenrir. There's a lot of
Mm.
sort of tight angles, a lot of sort of boxed in stairways where that gadget I feel really excels. So you might be seeing a ban of that operator, or even a couple picks, a couple plays made with that new character that's been brought in a couple months back. And I always like seeing new operators. I like seeing teams sort of find their footing with them, and I'm intrigued to see whether or not they do actually commit to it if they just go with a more off the wall pick like using the Fenrir.
Exactly. Fenrir, in my opinion, has really been one of the most powerful additions to Siege recently. Just like, uh, just like, what is she? I'm sorry, what is she called again with the Kaiba barricades?
Azami.
Azami. Just like with Azami, those two defender operators have just been so strong. They've been so game changing, in my opinion, recently. Especially just Azami by being able to just build literal fortresses, build literal angles that don't even exist, that people haven't ever seen in Siege. And then Fenrir just with being able to lock down the entire map essentially with just by staying alive and just by switching around with his utility. We might even just see Fenrir being banned out, though. I have a feeling that we're going to see that because he has been one of those more prevalent defenders alongside with Solus as well.
Yeah, there is sort of that triple threat almost of Azami, Solus, and Fenrir now, and you just don't have enough bans to deal with them all. So again, it's another point of just seeing which of those operators slip through the ban phase if they find a lot of success. We'll have all of that just waiting. I think we're going to throw to a short break. We're just having trouble getting a 10th player in the lobby right now, so we'll be right back. I think when we get back, we'll be straight into the action, but we'll see you then. Yep, welcome back. We just got those slight tech issues ironed out, and we are heading into this first map of the best of three. It is Chalet, getting these bans out of the way with first. And this is really going to be a bit of an interesting part. I like to sometimes predict these bans. I often get a bit of pressure from the person next to me to get these right. I usually just default to Nook on the attacking bans because a lot of the console teams especially don't seem to like that operator. It's a very annoying part of just defending the map, especially a map like Chalet with a lot of different staircases.
Let me make a
out.
prediction then. I'm gonna predict Dokebi actually.
Takebe. Okay, Nook versus Takebe. Who's winning this?
Oh, no
It's a
one!
Flores. Okay, interesting. So likely designed that maybe just empowering something like the Azami, Flores a natural counter because of the amount of explosive utility you get. Maybe these teams really just want to focus and double down on just swarming the attack with utility like those Keeper Barricades. Now, getting on to this second attacking ban, I'm going to double down. I'm going to go Nook.
Same.
The stats often say that Nook just gets banned a lot of the time, so please prove me right.
Oh my god.
And it was Osa, so we look slightly foolish here, but it's fine. We're not analysts. We're casters.
I'm just gonna go for a point with this next one. Actually, I'm just gonna go with a point and say Solus. She's just so strong on the defender side. She can do so much. I feel like she's always been so prevalent.
Yeah, Solus or Azami, or even Fenrir. Again, as we were saying in that pregame, those three operators just so powerful. Solus especially, as you said, with the vertical play, with the amount of drone work required for a map like Chalet, just being able to spot out all of that is very, very strong for the defense, and it makes their job a lot easier as we're heading into this final defensive ban. And okay, please, Fenrir, come on, teams, don't make me look like a moron. And it's a Valk ban. That one operator we kind of forgot about, who's just been sitting there for years now, so strong with the ability to just place those cameras nearly anywhere inside the building. And she gets taken off the board. So that, unfortunately, for the attacking side of Pulse here, means that both Fenrir and Azami will make it to the action phase.
You know what, Pubo? I'm going to call that a 1-0. I'm going to call that a 1-0 for me. I got one right. You didn't get any right. But yes, Solus, Valk, and all of them, they're all out as we do head into the game. We do see MVG starting on that defensive side here on Chalet. They will be bringing that one Mike, Hassel, Frost, Maestro, and if I'm not mistaken, I didn't quite catch that. Yeah, the Echo as well. So we have to see what they can bring with a kitchen setup.
Yeah, and it seems very much like a stationary defense at that. Your Echo, sure, his drone's going to be out and about, but you wouldn't imagine him to be roaming the corridors. And the same for Maestro as well, being that one speed. He's likely just going to be sat in sight, providing intel with both the default cameras and his special Maestro bubbles as well. The LMG, of course, a very strong gun at just holding down angles, a lot of bullets in its magazine there. So again, you would expect these operators to just be staying roughly around the site. And his roamers as well, likely not going to stray too far either, just occupying those rooms above, making sure the attack can't get vertical, looking specifically at players like Lightsy on that sledge. They don't want to let him be there uncontested. They want to really put pressure on the attack above so they can't begin ripping up that ceiling.
Exactly. The attacking side now start going from the west side of the building, already getting inside quickly. The Ash is making way. That's going to be Kunkar? Yeah, Kunkar. NT should be first contact. Kunkar is toying around with the idea of immediately going towards kitchen, but he doesn't decide to go for it. There's one actually right in front of you as he throws the drone. Just avoids contact. NT will back up just a slight bit, so he will avoid that contact. There's more attackers on the way. He should still be the first man up for this defender side. Wamai already having deployed a good amount of his utility, but most likely it's usually best having the Wamai as an anchor, in my opinion, instead of a first contact point, because you want those Wamai gadgets to be alive towards the end of the round where you have more of them. Kunkar will now put the second kill on the board, a 4-4. It's the attacking side and defensive side trade one each.
Yeah, and Connor really got involved in two very crucial gunfights early on and just missed out on both of them. You saw him march straight towards the site, didn't quite hit his mark, then marched up those library stairs and also just got caught a bit off guard. But finally, third time's the charm, he gets one, but not before Benzino was traded out. Meanwhile, this Wamai Venti we were talking about really bunkered down in this bedroom position. Castle Barricades either side, and Connor's just looking the wrong way. Doesn't quite spot Bankers there, who takes him out with the Frost, and can now safely retreat back if need be. Enti as well. Brilliant defense from MVG so far, just slowly folding back when they realize that this round is no longer sort of needed to be fought over. They've done their damage, they've taken out two of those entry operators, and with 4 members still alive and a lot of utility as well, the defense really can just focus on staying alive now.
Yeah, they just have to focus on staying alive. Perhaps holding an angle like this we saw from NT a second ago. Yannick is trying to go for something with his drones as well, perhaps extending a little bit more time, but that's not a good peak to go for. So they already lose one into a 3 versus 3. It immediately gets traded out. Yannick gets one onto Ajax as Snitzy's gonna take one back. NT will fall, but this defended team is falling bit by bit. Where they had the advantage just a second ago, now it's in the attacker's advantage, but oh no! The Maestro cam will stop the diffuser from getting planted. Now 10 seconds left. The grenade has to be put in order to get rid of the camera. Yes, indeed, it will be getting rid of. And now the Maestro has to go all the way around from the basement. There's time for him to get in. Oh no! Sledge doesn't realize that he could have gotten that close. Zella will take him down. There we go, the defensive side. MVG will get the first one on the board.
Yeah, really good defense from MVG there, and I particularly like the play from Zello there, getting very, as he continues to just test that crouch keybind there, not quite wanting to win the round out yet. But his position there, it was a very big risk, peeling all the way back to that big car garage below the kitchen. I believe he dropped that hatch when the sort of push began to come through from the attackers, so he knew that that area was then safe. Goes back, gets that camera, interrupting that first plant. It's crucial onto that ace player. And then winning the gunfight, it was, as I said, very risky as the Sledge did have enough time to actually get the kill, but Zello was just too sharp on that Alda. We were singing its praises at the start of the round, and it really just struck true there, getting that final kill. And the overall play from the Romos from MVG there especially was just very good. They seem to have good knowledge of where to hold and when to just simply retreat. I think that's a big problem with a lot of defensive teams, that they sort of think that roaming should be about getting kills, when in reality it's about disrupting the attack and about wasting time, and they did that perfectly, even if they did drop a couple of bodies near the end of that round. Very good play from MVG, and they can also sort of start to emulate that onto this side, as it's going to play very similar, barring games. There's going to be a big focus upstairs, just holding the attacking force. There's going to be this slight weakness of a window directly into the site, so we could potentially see a bit of a fast push from Pulse if they deem that appropriate. But from this operator lineup, things like the gridlock especially, being said, Ash and Hibana, two very fast operators, the Yana as well, we could see a bit of a fast take, but this early on in the match, I would expect more of a standard top take.
Yeah, more of a respectful take, as it is just early games so far. And, I mean, I've seen a lot of teams really investing inside the Yana Ash most recently, having that double entry. Sometimes it is that Yana combined with a Sledge, because Sledge could be played as a pretty good entry nowadays as well. But mostly it's that Yana Ash, which is so prevalent. Connor will immediately go for a little bit of contact over towards this master bedroom where NT is holding. Omar is there as well as Solarium. The nade is good! Ooh. Oh! Yannick gets that kill. That's a sharp one, but he immediately gets traded out. Leverkusen will now actually take a kill with that MP5.
Yeah, that was a beautiful trade.
The defending Romans are actually again doing the exact same work they did last round. They just like you pointed out a little bit ago, they get a couple kills, they get themselves in a good advantage situation, 4 versus 3, just like last round. And then once they have that, they just back off. They play the angle safely, and they know that there's not much to worry about.
Yeah, and particularly with Zello on that Azami, the longer he's alive, the more potent he becomes. He can keep placing down those barriers, just bring up more and more angles for the attack to challenge. That drone work is good, and it's going to isolate Zello in the corner, but still, that wall being completely closed, they're going to have to resort to random sprays here, as though drone economy isn't looking the best either. Zello, they really need to dislodge him here, because once he starts placing down those barriers, it's going to become even more difficult. AJ with that crucial gunfire on the piano point, but just misses it, goes away, can't really afford to give up his life. 4 versus 3 as MVG, they're just playing so disciplined, so great to see, not really over-aggressing. NT shoots a little bit and just dips right on back, and then, Connor does get one onto Zello, so that's finally the Azami dealt with, but as you see, NT immediately takes that as his cue to leave. They've gone back to site, the exact same thing has happened again.
Yeah, It's always the exact same thing. They really know how to play in these situations. Connor is down to low HP, so they at least have that going in their way. Lebkuchen now gets one from the window. Ajax will regret his decisions as he now will fall. Snitsy is going to try to go for the refrag, but doesn't quite get it in. I mean, he does in a little bit later. He doesn't get it quite in time, though, as there's 30 seconds still left on the clock. And look where this diffuser is going. It's going all the way around, as they will be heading downstairs towards blue. This is an interesting choice, but this could be the perfect play in order to catch off the warden. Do they know that NT is sitting in the closet, though? No, they don't. They go past NT, and he will get Connor. There's just no hope left now for Snitty, as he will try to fight NT, but NT will hold strong in the closet. 15 out or a little bit HP left on Warden, as he will just survive, and he will put a second one on the board for this defensive side.
Yeah, overall, another good defense from MVG there. Maybe slightly outstaying their welcome when it came down to those last 60 seconds. We saw Leverkusen getting caught a little bit off guard there, but also I kind of respect the change up there. They did get a free pick onto that hard breaches. It seemed like Pulse had already expected them to have fully retreated back. So maybe get that pick and then sort of cut your losses, retreat back. Either way, Leverkusen decides he's going to try and get another. Doesn't really add up for him. Still a very good defense from MVG, and they just seem to perfectly read into that last-minute change. We saw NT give up his position above and head into that mudroom, just completely off, catching the attack off guard. There was no clue from Connor or Schnitzer, I believe, on that Kavana. They just didn't realize he would be there. Gets a free pick, and that truly ended the round. But it was another close defensive round there, as was round one. So Pulse could still be in it, but right now MVG, every single adaptation they make seems to be hitting its mark. So again, going on to this second floor site, the weakest of this sort of free site rotation, I'm sure most would agree. It's going to really test to see how good MVG setups are, and if Pulse can finally sort of scrape away a single round win here, because a 2-1 sort of a 2-1 rotation is still pretty decent for the attack on any map. Defending, especially early on in the matchup, can be a lot easier as the attackers have come to use. So this is really a crucial sort of pivot point for Pulse here. If they can get around on the board, they're still very much in it. But if 3-0, MVG could run away with it.
Exactly, you're right. This is that pivot point. This is that point where MVG could start to run away with it. If you're Pulse, you want to go for a 4-2 half so that you could have a chance to come back on a defense, perhaps even win on defense before you have to get into overtime. But if you do not win this round, then your chances do seem to be bleak. So do start to make their way in. Lighty is the first one up on that sledge. Like I said, a lot of times there's that combo of this of the Ash, the sledge. This time it's the Ash, Sledge, Iana, all three of them together in order to go for those entries, and the Frank's already working out. Lebkuchen down to low HP, as only one bullet will be taken in order to take him down, as Connor will meet his end. NT from upstairs, taken down. Oh no, that's a frost trap going off. But no, Ajax is there from the window. It's chaos all around as he's ready to defend his teammate that's downed in the frost trap. We do not see the kill come through. It's into a 3 versus 3. Yenja has still not been revived, as they all just have a stalemate for a second. With 1 minute 30 left, still left on the clock. Pulse have done a decent job at getting near here.
Yeah, the Frostmat's going to deal a bit of damage to Benzino, but ultimately they do manage to keep this pace going. A little bit stalled, just waiting to pick up their teammates, seeing if it's clear, as we see a Bravo drone coming in, just hacking that fireplace cam to check for any kind of flanking maneuvers there. But as you said, a much better start from Pulse here, as if the hack goes off into the Maestro cam, it does not. Just get shut out. That could have been crucial. A piece of bulletproof information so close to the site. Luckily for the defense, they do manage to deal with it. Zello is now fully just on these cams, trying to feed as much intel as possible, but Vanquish has got a bit of a crucial fight there next to the wall. If he can win out there, really puts MVG on the front foot, as they're still sort of trailing behind almost. Pulse have got a lot of map control. There's nades coming out. The Goyo canister could really spell Vanquish's demise here, but no, the off angle not checked by Lightsy with 30 seconds left. MVG once again looking to come back into this.
Yeah, that Goyo canister actually helps him out. Oh no, another one found as the defense will now go 2 for 1. The Maestro can still coming in and a lot of damage now being done as the Ajax is down to low HP. He will have to hit every single bullet if he wants to clutch this one out with 10 seconds left on that timer. And he's just not got it. The Maestro cam will do it at the end and that will hurt. And Zello, he will eat those up any day.
Yeah, and it looked like MVG were gonna lose that, really. There was a nice sort of entry formation from Pulse coming in there. The Frostmat did stall them a bit, but they got a lot of utility onto the site. Those nades coming up, the Goyo canister especially forced Bankers out into the open, and then they just didn't check him. Lightsy walked in completely unaware, got caught up on that off angle, and that really just sort of cemented MVG in the lead. The Maestro cams as well, just helping to pepper out any of those low health attackers. And that's really going to be one of those rounds that hurt. Just sort of you mentally, you've got Frostmatted and you died to a Maestro cam. These kind of annoying bits of utility all just coming together and could really sort of damage your mental. As these, again, they have been 3 close rounds that have sort of just slipped by as MVG go back to this kitchen. We're going to be seeing an identical lineup, so suggesting another roam from above. The real question here is though, do Pulse sort of lean into this Maestro? We saw the Brava being brought last round, which seemed to maybe be a bit of a counter towards it. They prioritized those default cams first, because Zello's play with Maestro is really what lost Pulse that first round. So if we do see an adaptation towards that, that could actually give Pulse a score on the sort of the round differential on the rounds. But they've not brought it so far. They are bringing that Nook, a very lethal operator that can evade those Maestro cameras as more of an indirect counter. So that could sort of spell out a bit of success for them. They've got nades as well to destroy them, but without something sort of direct like that Brava, I'm afraid that MVG is going to get away with the same old tricks.
Yeah, I think so as well. They've got so much of that utility, and the Bravo would really help out right here, but they're just not bringing it. A little bit of a different setup this time around, but I don't think that it will bring much of a change if they do not get those initial kills, especially. That Bravo would just be so important in a situation like this, where the Wamai is just so good, where the Maestro is just so good. They're finding so much utility based off that. The Echo as well. But they're just not bringing it right now. MVG will just feast off the back of that. Skona is opening up those windows as the Ash NT. Okay, it's a little bit. They're gonna have to destroy their own what's it called? Their own castle barricade for some reason. So they did cut themselves off for a little bit. They do decide to go for a bit of a different angle. MVG do lose their first play, and Zello is now down to low HP, but he will get a kill onto Benzino. Lebkuchen now down to low HP on that castle. Will try to poke up a couple shots, but he's lost full control over that master bedroom. They should be able to get in here with a plant. Pulse, we just have to wait for time to realize before they can get in. NT still holding the window, but he will be shot down. This is looking like Pulse might take one back. They've got one down to, or 2 down to low HP. The only one standing with a decent amount of HP, and that's Yannick on the Echo. But we all know an Echo could do a lot of damage, especially with those drones, which actually have been shot down, now that I say it.
Yeah, Zello also seems to be retreating down that basement where Yannick, that only full health defender, is as well. In fact, all 3 that are standing have come down to this basement as NT finally gets finished off. Very interesting defense here. If they're looking to go for a retake, it would be inadvisable with such low health, but Yannick there got that Echo Drone Prime. Zello as well, but that final man with the gun up on site, Lebercook, and taken down. It's really going to be up to the battle of the utility as Yannick is prepping a bit of a flank. If he could wait a little bit longer, it'd be huge, and the trigger discipline is perfect. He's got 2, but he whips the shot, gets 1, doesn't get the second though. MVG though could still be in it. Logic Chaos as Connor just jumps down, leaving Zello in a 1 versus 3.
Oh my god, what on planet Earth did I just witness? Oh, that must suck. He had the chance to shut it all down, but he just doesn't get anything at all. Zello at the end, well, there's just no hope left for him as Lightsy turns around and shuts him down with the bug. The 1.5 scope is just so much more stronger at that range. 3 for 1 we do go. Pulse will now finally get their first round on the board after a dominant 3-round start from MVG, and it's on the favorite side coming for MVG, which is a surprising, a really surprising statement for Pulse, and it can actually really bring them some momentum going forward, since they still have, or since MVG still have some of their worst sides left to go this rotation.
Yeah, and the thing I really liked from that Pulse attack was they very much played into the setup. We saw MVG heavily use that castle to sort of box off the sites. So in response to that, Pulse hold a lot of cutoff angles that really sort of make the defense feel very claustrophobic. We saw angles just being held close windows, and eventually the defenders felt the need to pass in front of them, just trying to get a bit of an advantage early on, and Pulse just snapped them up, and they, from that first advantage, they could just keep it rolling, still holding these angles together with that man advantage they had now gained, until they'd completely swept through that top floor, really. And sure, MVG can try and go for those same tricks with the Maestro and the Echo, but when there's so many members alive of Pulse with such just total site control, that's not really going to work, and it allows Pulse to get that first round. So MVG heading onto this side, which again should play very similar. We aren't actually seeing Echo or Maestro, however, it is still going to be a top floor hold. It's going to be another case of, can Pulse really just clear out this top hold early? If they can sweep through the top side and not drop that early body, they could very much see success here. But if MVG go back to that sort of playstyle, that team we saw in those first 3 rounds, they could still face a little bit of difficulty.
They could definitely face a little bit of difficulty, and Pulse actually bringing a little bit of a different setup here on this its Urking side, as they will now be looking towards perhaps getting those traps in there, and then maybe that could block off some of these MVG players from rotating around, which they've been doing a lot so far. Nook has already been sent down into the basement. That's going to be Connor trying to find a couple kills. So far he's found 4, and he's done a real good job. Benzino gets that second one for himself. Connor still just looming around in that basement. I'm just waiting for him to activate on a player. Yeah, there we go. He's standing underneath that fireplace. It's just a matter of time before he activates, or before someone calls him to get up there. And yeah, there we go. He's starting to creep around, but he's been heard. It's just going to be up for a battle. Lebkuchen does lose it as Connor takes off his head. 1 minute 30 though, still left on the clock, as the defenders are all just going down bit by bit by bit. Pulse are starting to warm back up into this game. It's all left up to BenQ's. He's onto that mirror, goes for the turnaround, hits the drone. But that's all he'll hit. He'll not even hit the player standing behind him, as Connor will get another one on the board. He has a round for himself.
Yeah, 4 kills coming out from Connor there, and this is starting to expose a little bit of a problem for MVG, and that is momentum. If they don't get that opening pick, or at the very least a trade, they just seem to crumble at the seams. It was really just rough that round. MVG couldn't seem to find anything there, as, well, Benzino gets the opener, and from there, Connor just springs to life, as you said, walks through the remaining defenders, and the MVG players just look lost as how to sort of combat it. Every gunfight they lose. So if Pulse can actually sort of continue this round momentum building up, we could very quickly see a sort of change in the tides of MVG potentially as this half switches over in 2 rounds' time. They could potentially be on the back foot in terms of round count here, which they haven't experienced all this match. They started off really incredibly hot start, but from here, 2 rounds on the trot lost, and those were 2 quite dominant rounds from Pulse as well. This really could be where MVG might need to burn a timeout just to hold that momentum, just to steady the ship, just to keep their mental on side, because it's such a stark contrast of rounds being played. It can certainly affect your players, so no timeout being brought this time, which does make sense. You don't really want to waste that on the final round of a half. There's nothing to really learn from it. But you could very much expect to see that in the early stages of the second half.
Yeah, we could definitely expect to see that sometime coming soon. I would have actually liked to see a timeout already last round. That would have potentially stopped this pulse attack from coming through, this pulse little catching of wind. Because they've currently continued that little streak, and they've continued seeming very dominant. If they would have been stopped in their tracks a little bit earlier, we could have still been looking at a dominant MVG side here. But now it's looking like Pulse might be able to equalize, which, if you're an attacking side on Chalet, you're gonna be more than satisfied with that. You're gonna be absolutely, you're just gonna be absolutely happy with that. Usually a 2-4 is what you would be satisfied with if you're the attacking side. If you can get that 3-3 on the board, you would just be able to call that you've done an absolutely great job here on the attack and adapting later on, especially with this MVG side that started off so strong. Pulse hasn't seemed to just take a break at all, as Mozzie is actually starting to go for a little flank. I think he spotted around one. It's the Aussies against each other as he's gonna backstab him. NT will get Benzino. Now from downstairs, that C4 will not hit anything. It will just open up the edge. You will get another one. That's a double kill for NT. He's still covering over that little rotation hole as AJ is starting to go through it, and NT's lost track of where AJ is gone. Or actually, it's totally opposite. AJ has lost track of where NT's gone. NT's making his way down the basement. A couple shots fired as he's now just all gonna rotate all the way around, and that should guarantee a round for MVG, in my opinion. This is what they did in those first 3 rounds. They got those first couple picks on the board, and then they started playing safe, which they should be able to do now, and they should be able to play off that trade game.
Yeah, sort of theoretically the perfect backstab from NT there. Doesn't really take any damage aside from those gridlock gadgets and gets 2 picks onto the diffuser as well as Banquas. He's just going to keep that advantage rolling, but it's a very strange round from MVG, putting a lot of sort of resources into just hoping that NT gets away with that flank. To be fair to him, he does, and that really just, from the looks of things, has completely stopped Pulse in their tracks. Sure, Connor finally gets his revenge onto NT, but still it's a 1 versus 4 for the Ashland. Virtually no health as defenders are jumping out the building left and right. A little bit of teabagging onto seemingly nothing from Leverkusen in there as Yannick just teasing the window, and he actually does get that pick onto Connor. And MVG, they've settled the ship 4-2-1 there. Very good on Chalet, where you would typically maybe expect a bit of an even split going on. So very good job from MVG, not letting Pulse build up too much momentum there. And we could maybe expect to see a bit of a strong attack coming out as they've got that little bit of wind behind their sails.
Exactly, that little bit of wind could really just make sure that they could sail across the ocean quite comfortably if they could just use it. They need to use that little bit of wind, and they need to, for example, get this first attacking round on the board, and then it should just be easy sailings. They should just be across the finish line within a couple rounds, because they'll be one away from getting that match point on the board. They'll be 3 away from Pulse equalizing. Pulse will be a little bit down in the gutter in terms of the mental. It would just be one of those games where MVG should be able to take over, but they're gonna have to do it here on this attacking side, which could be problematic for a lot of teams, as we've seen Pulse struggle to get a good start off on that attacking side a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, we're seeing a very big change of MVG. All of those players choosing to just attack a repick off of those operators. We saw a couple interesting things, like that glass specifically being as well, just being swapped out to a fairly more standard lineup. Zello on that Monty, an operator we've seen him on before. A lot of these console teams really like that Monty to just use it as a great big bulletproof drone and just push into the site, push throughout, funnel defenders away from certain areas, provide intel. The Twitch being brought as well, though, is another interesting pick. Just more intel, more sort of utility sabotage being brought, although it is going to have to face against Lightsy on the mute there, so we could potentially see a bit of limited sort of use of that Twitch drone as it just gets thrown straight into library there.
MT is the first up over towards that library. So he will barricade himself up with those claymores, making sure that anybody that goes outside will immediately die. And I don't think anyone really has an idea about going forward at. Lightsy is here on that mirror window, just trying to hold the line for the time being. Isn't there's actually, again, another nuke. Oh no! No! You have to be kidding me, Benkos. Oh, he just drops down the hatches. He almost has a kill. That has to suck, and now his position has been revealed. defensive side will actually find themselves in a favorable situation, but within seconds, it actually wait, hold up a second. This actually has turned out into a more favorable situation for them as they are in the 3v1. Zella was trying to hunt for a kill on that Monty, but it's a Monty versus 3, and that can be oh so hard. They've got information about you. He's got no drones left either for any more info. The only good thing for him is that AJ is down to low HP. A C4 onto his feet, which will take away half of his HP. He's still not got the diffuser in hand, and oh my god, bullets flying left, right, and center. As AJ will eventually finish it up with the deagle, shooting those feet.
It really was a series of unfortunate events for Banquist there. He nearly gets a pick onto that mezzanine position. There's randomly a hatch open, he drops down, and last patch, I believe that wouldn't be too bad for him because his actions would still be silent. The drop, I don't believe, would make any noise, but ever since that recent nerf coming in, that actually immediately gives away his position, and when he finally even has a chance of taking a gunfight, bam, Fenrir gadget, he can't see anything. That entry is completely denied from him on the Nook. And from there, Pulse just keep the momentum rolling, as we saw from MVG. If they lose out on that first pick, they really just can't seem to respond. We're seeing Leverkusen attempt that glass again, maybe expecting a kitchen defense this time, as it was very quickly 6-picked off the moment they saw they were in. It is a kitchen defense, so I'm thinking they're just going to layer out those smokes from the fireplace and have Leverkusen just hold down the angles. You might even see something like a sense here, but no, actually just moving on to the thermite. So I'm really sort of asking the question, if not here, where is this glass attempted to be played? We would
maybe downstairs
plays, I guess, but you would never anticipate basement to be the first or even second pick. It's
exactly
very, sort of weak sight. So that, unless it's purely just sort of as a joke, I am a bit unsure as to what to play here with the glasses. They're not going to in the kitchen.
The one thing that we both haven't been reading into here is vods. We could the one thing that could be that we could have just forgotten about here is the fact that these teams could have looked at each other's vods, and they could have looked at what size do these teams, or do they generally tend to play on their defensive side. And it's looking like MVG might have looked at a vote, and they might have just prepared for a side that Poles do tend to usually take. They really want to go, or they really want Poles to go to that side. They always just hover over those operators which they've prepared. But Poles just aren't taking that side. Poles just aren't going where MVG have prepared for. It's looking like one of those stories.
Yeah, they do get that opening anti immediately killing someone on the Nook, but he's immediately traded out, and that just has once again sort of slumped that momentum that MVG want to build in a round. AJ is droned out in this piano position, causing a little bit of a retreat, but with all those keeper barriers still ready to be dispensed, he can just keep these angles locked down, and Nade comes out onto a completely empty shield, and that's one of those sort of precious bits of utility, the only explosive left even for MVG, aside from those Ash breaching grounds, which are a lot sort of less likely to hit, as you're going to actually have to swing an angle with that launcher out. Still, MVG pick up another pick, and Pulse are once again on the back foot.
Yeah, once again on the back foot at Pulse. I mean, they've not pulled off any of these rounds where they were on the back foot, and it's not looking likely like they're going to do it. As Lightsy will lose his life from a nade, Yannick will find that one. He will receive that one with open arms. As AJ, well, his rotation has been called off by Bankers. As Schnitzy is now the only one left alive, just trying to poke a couple shots through the smoke, but nothing will connect. The diffuser has been planted. And well, that 40-second timer is just slowly going to be going down. One kill has been found. He's actually gotten it down over towards Yannick. Hold up. This is a 1 versus 1 now. Bankers is the only one left standing. Schnitzy's still onto full HP, but he most likely doesn't know that it is a 1 versus 1. He most likely will still be thinking that he's in that 2 versus 1 situation. Cello's still going to be able to give away a lot of information over towards what he's doing, and Bankers goes for the peek, and yeah, unfortunately, Schnitzy's dream of making that 1 versus 4 a actual possibility was just a ruse.
Yeah, a questionable post-plant sort of defense there from the attack. No one above, when really that's your whole goal of taking above was just having easy angles to hold the diffuser from. But alas, they all went for sort of a horizontal take. One person even downed in the basement. I believe they dropped that kitchen hatch. So at the very least, they had active intel in the site from, I believe, one of the players downed in kitchen anyway could just ping that out. And it seemed like the remaining defender just had no idea where Banquist was hidden, so he does get that final pick. MVG now with a 2-round advantage once again, and it's very close to match point here. One more round, 6-3, and then you've got 3 attempts to close it out. So MVG, they're not really wanting Pulse to get away with any kind of real sort of streaks of rounds here, because you saw Pulse, they look good when they're on it, but when they're not, they just sort of seem to fall apart at the seams. MVG had a very good attack last round. They seem to know perfectly what to do. Their usage of utility was very, very good. Nades coming up, especially onto site, was great. The only thing I really think they need to work on from that round is that post plant, because it did get very close. There was a bit of a lack of discipline almost shown there, but if you just hold above, keep those angles down on your default plant spot, you should be seeing success once again. As Pulse Nation, or Team Pulse, have gone in a bit of a different direction. They're opting to bring that Warden rather than the Mirror, I guess, to counter that initial sort of smoke plant from the Thermite, which could be interesting, but that Mirror was really the one thing that sort of gave them a chance last round.
Yeah, exactly. That Mirror really gave them a chance, but as well, you have to remember with that Warden, you can really just get a lot of value. You can, if you're not mistaken, you have to point me out on this. You can look through smokes as well, right?
Yes.
So yeah, exactly. With that Warden, you can look at those smokes, and you saw those smokes be so prevalent for that diffuser plant. If you can just set a Warden on the long range angle, you have the 1.5 scope. He just has to stay alive, and he can easily get those kills. He can easily get whoever's diffusing it. Oh yeah, your O has said something. Has pointed something out. They know exactly where someone is playing.
Don't think that's a soft floor, so I do think he's safe for the time being. Look how close MVG are to the site already. Oh, yeah, Zello!
Wait, hold up. He's already towards the kitchen as he's poking up shots left, right, and center. Zello, oh, he's laying down underneath the kitchen counter. It's just going to be a 1v1 fight for the time being. Actually, a 2v1 as another one has tagged in for the time being. But this fight has pulled a lot of eyes of these defenders over towards it as they're already in. A third one has now joined. That's the Azami. Zello down to 1 HP and now eventually gets injured. That attack, that attack that tried to go in so quickly, is all gone into vain. As they've all just been downed, as they've all just been gotten injured. Lebkuchen will try to find himself an entryway in, but it seems to just be in vain. As AJ is still just holding here, Lebkuchen actually trying to inch his way nearer. He knows where AJ is standing at, or where AJ was laying at, but AJ manages to get out of there in time with just enough HP. With 1 minute left on the clock, and he's giving away his position now as well. 3-on-3 as Lebkuchen finds another one onto Snitzy, and that was one of those players on high HP. This does seem to be more and more going in the favor of MVG.
Yeah, if NT can just dislodge this one player in the kitchen, MVG have got a very solid chance here. No above control here, and the Warden's still on the board. Fenrig actually coming out as well, but NT, the trap is triggered, downs AJ. The Warden's still above, though. You can't really deny this plant. The flank is going to come down instead. They drop down. Lebkuchen's none the wiser. It's all an NT in a 1v2, but the diffuser is down. Both players sacrificing vertical. If NT really wanted to, he could go for a very big rotate, choosing to stay on this same floor, just holding it down with the SMG. One player can go start pinging that diffuser down. NT's got to move now, make a play. Not looking the right way, and Pulse, they managed to get another, bringing it to 5-4.
Connor once again doing God's work as he gets that triple kill. Yesterday we actually had someone on the cast as well that was absolutely fragging out, and it seems really typical in these siege teams that there's always that one player that just is a step above the rest in terms of fragging out, and here on this post team it does seem to be Connor. He's just doing everything he needs to do. He's just hitting every single shot he needs to hit right now in order to take them a little step further, and he's now took them a huge step further by taking or by almost placing themselves ahead of or equal with MVG. Only one more round dividing themselves. as they will be going into another one of these defensive rounds. He's got 13 kills and 6 deaths. That's 2 KD.
Incredible play from Connor here. He really just had a very hot start getting that. I believe it was the first round from the Pulse, getting that 4K, just marching in either way. Might have been first or the second round on the board. Either way, incredible player in this particular matchup. MVG attacking Bar in games once again. This was a site where they really seemed lost here. It was down to Zello on that Monty and I believe a 1 versus 3, as all of his attacking friends just fell alongside him. It came down initially to that first gunfight from Banquist, which, oh, at least he's identified that hatch is open this time. He could have a bit of a better chance here. But if he can get a pick early on, MVG could continue to spiral that into a very big advantage here. It really does rely on either Yannick or Banquist to just try and get one of these defenders early on, because apart from that, MVG, they don't seem to know how to really convert rounds when they're not already on the front foot.
Oh, did they get the mirror window? Yes, indeed they do. That's good for NTS. They should now be able to get control over that little balcony a little bit easier. The defender still just trying to set up ever so slightly, as Monty's already gotten himself in here over towards some of that Fenrir utility. That's Zello over here. Connor again just fragging out, getting himself on the scoreboard early on in this round as well, as he gets that 14th. There's actually no support for the Monty as he's surrounded by defenders. I feel like it's just a matter of time, and yeah, there we go. Oh no, that's a completely different teammate that actually gets killed. It's got to be the Nook all the way over towards the other end of the map. Oh, Yannick actually gets over near towards the Monty that has distracted Benzemo for such a long time. NT gets another one back, but Yannick now eventually does fall down. Zello is left alone all the way as both of these attackers are split up, but NT is on a rampage this round. 11 kills for himself, and just like Connor, those two players do seem to be the havoc fraggers for each of their teams. Snitty now is the last one standing, as MVG have pulled themselves back into this round. Not only just pulled themselves back into this round, they have clawed their way back into it bit by bit by just snowballing it ever so slightly. Defuse has been picked up by Zello as well.
No explosives for Schnitzy here is the big thing. They have to actually shoot Zello, and they do. They managed to dip all the way back down to the basement as well, but Diffuser is still in sight. Yes, it's on the ground, but it's still in a much more advantageous position. Zello can also use himself as a camera if he really wants to, crawling out a bit just to get intel for his teammate. I think the pickup is going to be attempted, though. With Monty on the board, that makes things incredibly winnable, and Schnitzy, he really has to make a play here. Zello is up and about. He can break that shield out once again, and really, this seems unwinnable for the Mirror here. If intel is relayed correctly and NT hits his shots, things should go well for MVG. NT swinging out wide, but his shots give away his position. Zello still standing stalwart there, and he goes in for the punch! The backhanded slap onto Schnitzy, and MVG get up to match point.
Oh man, a slap in order to get yourself onto match point. That is one way to do it. One way that I've never seen anyone do it in Siege. First time ever for me personally. But Zello doing an amazing job on that Monty and just staying alive that entire round, getting a lot of info and making sure that he's always near a teammate of his. I don't know if you noticed that this round, Booble, but every single time he was just trying to stay alive, get into for his teammates, and every single time in that round.
I think my fellow caster might have just disconnected, but I see the sort of thought process of the MVG attack. You want Zello to act as a very big obstacle that's trying to draw attention, and the woes for MVG came from the fact that his other teammates sort of throughout the map weren't exactly winning their gunfights properly. They were not having a great time in those just isolated gunfights, and that really to me looked like MVG would lose it. But as you said, once Zello actually managed to link up with one of those teammates and start providing intel rather than just being a total distraction, there was a lot more value found from him, and he was actually able to spot targets for his teammates. That and NT's just phenomenal attempt to just slowly claw down the man count of Pulse really just paved the way for that win, and Zello's sort of heroic, if a bit ballsy play to just unextend the shield and smack that Mirror in the face. Either way, Pulse, they've sort of seen where they've gone wrong. They don't appear to be changing this lineup anymore. They're going to be a little bit more on the lookout for Twitch drones, I'd imagine, to protect those mirror windows. MVG aren't even bringing a Twitch. They've gone full in on this utility spam, bringing Leverkusen on that Ying to just try and clear out the top floor by force. Zello as well, still got those EMPs at hand. Leverkusen just pre-firing for Capcan traps there, trying to just make sure it's a safe entry for Zello, as he's no doubt going to draw a bit of attention from the defense. Meanwhile, NT does get pinged on a... Actually, no, it was a friendly drone, I believe, so the defense shouldn't have any idea he's there. Benzino really in a crucial spot, but not as crucial as Connor here. Isolated alone as NT manages to get one. NT gets two, but not before Connor responds with two of his own. 3 versus 3 with the Monty and the Ying. Those two linchpins of the execute taken down, as he should be able to slink away here. The rotate helping him out dearly, along with those Q barriers. Avoids that window player and can just get back down to the fireplace there. NT does a phenomenal job as Yannick continues on getting another pick there. And Pulse, they're on the back foot. MVG, that map win is in touching distance.
Frag grenade out.
One versus 3 here for Schnitzy. Yannick on full HP. The same can't be said for his teammates. Banqua's very low. NT missing a little bit as well, but this site control has been got on Schnitzy, though. Still isolated, gets one popping up from the stairs, 1 versus 2. The Nitro Cell as well could be the spoiler here. If he can just get a little bit of that sort of splash damage on the Banquiz, it becomes a 1 versus 1. But with both those attackers now in the site, this looks like a very unlikely post-plant win here. Charges out with that shot and gets 1 versus 1 now. Schnitzy gets it! An incredible triple from him, and he keeps Pulse in this map for at least one more round.
Let's see if it works real quick. Is it working, Pulse?
I believe we've got you back, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that was absolutely amazing work by Schnitzy in order to get back in there with the mirror. I was mentioning that someone else had to carry them back into that round. I was mentioning that we did have to see a little bit of a different carry from Connor there in order to get themselves a step closer towards overtime. He didn't get to do it. But over towards a little different end, we see Schnitzy on the mirror pulling off such an amazing job and getting a triple towards the end. There is no way on planet Earth that he should have been able to win it. There's no way on planet Earth that we should still be in this game. But somehow Schnitzy has managed to pull off the impossible.
Yeah, incredible play from the mirror there after what looked to be a very questionable pick. Bringing up our shotguns over the extra line of sight. There's just a bit of a facade, a smoke screen, as he just quickly peeks up right across the doorway, takes out one and just wins that final heads-up gunfight. Really good play from him, and MVG can't allow this to damage their mental. They're still so close to this map when they go against this kitchen site, a site that they just narrowly lost out on before, with those players getting that retake available, particularly Connor's heroics taking out that final MVG player. But this lineup, slightly different here. We're seeing the Brava being brought in, along with the Thermite, which to me implies we're going to be having a bit more sort of smoke utility. So they're potentially just aiming to flood this site with those smoke grenades. But Benzino will be a problem on that warden. They can't just use them as... They can't assume that it's a simple sort of vision blocker, because it's not. Benzino can still potentially catch them on the way in. So they need to be very careful when it comes to this execute if they don't manage to deal with him first.
Yeah, here's the only problem though. Usually, whoever plays Warden is a player that is more fragging out. Benzino is quiet. He's 3 and 8. He's just fallen asleep this game, or he's not even woken up already. He's 3 and 8. He's not done anything, and even if he does get that chance where he is able to shoot through those smokes, where he is perhaps flashed and those attackers think he's flashed and he gets a chance, we might just not even be able to see him pull off the 3 shots because he is just not here in this game right now. He's not performing. It's just a question mark in my eyes, letting Benzino go onto this Warden. Just have to see if it works out. I'm kind of unfortunate. Well, I'm kind of disappointed that Connor didn't necessarily pick Warden, as that could have probably been a really good pick for him, but he's instead going to be playing that Wamai. So with 1 minute 45, we started to open up that wall over towards the master bedroom. Defensive side still just holding a bit, still just holding strong, as they're holding every single one of these angles, and Benzino should be the first point of contact as he's trying to get rid of some of those drones.
It's that Warden, though. You can't really afford him to die there, because when that execute comes, you want him to be able to disrupt the plant. Either way, Benzino, he's sticking his heels in the ground, staying by this piano, as both thermite breaches now come out, so the attack do have a little point of ingress into the side if they want to apply a bit of pressure. Enti, though, being very thorough with his drone work, just completely checking that basement, as it seems like all of these defenders, though, are sticking very close to the site. Benzino, seemingly no help there, completely off on an island. He could be cut off, and that would be a huge pick for MVG. That would be just the thing they need if that first smoke grenade goes off on site.
The only problem is the time. The time has been ticking down, and we're already down to 45 seconds. They all decide to drop down over towards the kitchen, leave the top site, and just go for that direct hit on towards the bomb site. Hope that no one from upstairs will be able to shut down whoever's planting the diffuser, because it's just going to be one of those times where MVG cannot clear out the top side in time, and they just have to give it up. In return, though, they've been rewarded with a kill over towards Lightsy, as he is down. A couple kills will have been traded. We will go down into a 3 versus 3. Diffuser still being planted. Eventually will go down on the ground. 2 versus 3. MVG to make it turn it into a 2 versus 2. As Benzino or Benkus is just trying to fight, poking shots at left, right, and center. Eventually, Ajax will get himself the triple kill, and Benzino from downstairs will take it down. That 1.5 scope just spotting the little bit of the head. We will go down into overtime, as we do have an absolutely amazing job from AJ and Benzino towards the end.
They've done it again. Despite that plant being stuck, once again, Pulse, they're just these masters of the retake, and the players from MVG, poor post-plant positioning, I'd imagine, really sticking them there. They had control over the site, but you saw Zello scrambling to get even an angle onto that actual diffuser, which completely gave away his position. And that all stems from, as you said, they just couldn't crack that sort of nut that was the top floor. They didn't even really attempt it. They poked in a bit, sent drones in, and then there was no follow-through. They didn't want to challenge Benzino, challenge even like going into office. They just left it there, thought they could get away with a horizontal take. And what it looked like they would, it looked like things were really going well for them. They had Zello playing very cautiously at the top, just in case the Warden attempted to disrupt the plant. He didn't, and the plant did get stuck. But after that, MVG really didn't seem like they had much of a clue where they wanted to actually hold that diffuser from, and that indecisiveness just completely crumbled them. Now, good news for MVG, they are back on that defense, the same defense they got that 4-2 half on, so statistically they are favored in overtime here, but it's still overtime. It can still be a real sort of mental killer there, because you had 2 chances to lock it out. You had a phenomenal first half as well on those Chalet defenses, but they couldn't close it out then. I'm afraid they might be able to close it out now.
Overtime is where the nitty always gets done, and where the gritty starts getting going, where it's all about that hardcore siege where all the strats have been thrown out the book. Usually all the little preparations, they've already been shown, and it's all up to the players to show that they're better. Little incrementations as well will be made throughout overtime, as every single little iteration of whatever the defense is bringing has already been shown to the attack, and then they do have to bring out those weird little substrats, those pocket strats, which they usually don't do. And one of them might be this hold over towards Solarium, which this time will not go in the success of the defensive side. MVG already losing the first. That's going to be Enti going down. Zello is waiting here as well. He's the second one of the Romans trying to find success. We saw MVG being so prevalent earlier on and getting the first couple kills on the board and then falling back. Well, this time they've only gotten 1 kill, lost 1. Zello is on for more. He spotted the second one, but he loses life in the meantime. Lightsy! Oh, that's a spot and a half and a headshot to finish it off with. But now with 1 minute 30 left on the clock, this attacking side has all the time to just think over and spot these last couple defenders, plan what they want to do. A nade isn't going to be called. Fortunately for the Sleds, he does prepare the second one, and that would do a lot of damage over towards Leverkusen.
You can see from the positioning of these MVG defenders as well, they're playing very cautiously. The confidence is gone as Connor gets another Yannick taken off the board. 2 versus 4 as MVG defenders have just been forced to just retreat back to site. Missed gunfight goes to the way of Bankers, and AJ takes him out. Leverkusen in the 1 versus 4, holding this fight to drop the attack. Not going for it. He does get eyes on 1, but wisely holds his fire. It was a very messy shot. Wouldn't have likely confirmed anything. He just wants his position to stay hidden as the attacks still have so much time. 45 seconds. The ability to drone out everything. We see Lightsy playing very carefully here. They don't want to let this slip away. There's been similar clutches from Pulse this map. They don't want to let one fall the way of MVG. Even checking the stairs, just all those default angles that they themselves use as Leverkusen hiding behind this bomb, position known, he's just got to run. He doesn't know where they're coming from. An attacker above takes him down. Schnitzy gets that kill, and Pulse on that point here, something I didn't think we'd be seeing a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, something I didn't think that we would be seeing at all. Ever since the beginning 3 rounds of this map, where we saw MVG have such a dominant start, taking the first 3, not seeming to break a single sweat. But now Pulse are here in this overtime, finally on a match point, finally in a position where they have 2 match points in order to close out this game. They don't only have this round, they have next round as well if they fail this time, but we'll have to see what they can bring on their attacking side and what MVG will be what Pulse will be bringing on their defensive side, and what MVG will be bringing to adapt over towards that Pulse defensive side.
Yeah, we're seeing a rather standard lineup from MVG so far, still bringing that gridlock to mixed results in there. And we've seen mixed results so far. They allowed NT, I believe, when it was Pulse bringing her, NT was able to just get away with the freest flank of his life on the defense, just walking past those tracks. And Zello, just quite rightly, switching over to the Monty, an operator he has found a lot of success with. Still got those 2 sets of nades, and it looks like they won't be being changed as NT trying to make his mind up eventually, finishes an operator roulette, ends up on the Twitch. Quite smart choice. We've seen Schnitz on that mirror. Those windows can be oh so important in those defenses, so the only operator that can really manually take them out is a pretty good shot to bring them. Leverkusen as well, doubling down on this drone work with the Floras, just aiming to deal with more of this utility item. I thought that was the Brava even, aiming to deal with more of this utility just in terms of cameras. But again, there's a lot of stuff aimed at some dealing with utility, but when it comes to gunfights, MVG have been on the losing end so far, particularly in this half of the matchup. So they really need to sort of dig in hard and get a good round win here.
Yeah, and you can see it on the leaderboard as well. In terms of the gunfight, it's been Pulse all the way in these last couple of rounds. Connor, 19 kills. Snitsy, 13 kills. AJ, 11. Then it doesn't matter if Lightsy and Benzino aren't necessarily pulling too much weight. Both 4 kills each is more than enough for a couple supporting players. It's seeming like this Pulse Nation team has just come together towards this end of this half, or towards the end of this game. And MVG have just fallen apart a little bit, because you can see that most of the team is near each other in terms of kills, but NT is just having to do most of the carrier work, and most of the carrier work indeed he is doing, as he will be finding that first one on the Twitch. 16 on the board for him, as Leverkusen will turn one in as well. That's Connor, the heavy hitter, out now. It seems like Pulse have will have to rely on their second match point round in order to perhaps pull off this win.
Yeah, MVG kind of proving us right. Once they get that uncontested opening pick, the kills just keep on coming. They finally managed to find their footing. Connor, that star player, as you were saying, taken down. It's going to be a bit on the shoulders of the rest of these Pulse Nation players to do it. Now, that's not too bad. Schnitzy and AJ putting up good performances, but Lightsy, he might need to really step up just to take this over the line here. He's in a very defensive position down those library stairs. Same can't really be said for his other teammates who are kind of having to dart around the site as nowhere is really safe now that the attack have taken that control over the top floor. Lightsy's still just playing so disciplined with the shotgun down here. He can likely hear Zello move down there, so he's aware there is a Monty there. I think Zello might be aware too, but it's going to be a 180 gunfight. But AJ doesn't quite swing out when he could have. There's a back towards him. He could take the shot on the Monty. Someone covering from Mudroom, though. Lightsy's position mode makes things so much easier for MVG. But Zello just stuck in this corner. Nothing can be done. He got extends, but just then, NT goes and finishes off that kill. 5 versus 2 now for Pulse. 4-2, but Schnitzy quickly traded after us. It's a 1 versus 3 for AJ. Not even that. NT takes him down, and MVG, they claw their way back to match point.
Yeah, you could see why they bring in the Monty towards the end right there. You can see that Monty just cuts off the defense perfectly. They're able to make sure that everyone is just able to hold the angles well. The one player that was trying to have a little bit of a run, that was trying to be active, while the last couple of defenders were just trying to anchor on towards the side. He just didn't even have a chance to get active. He had a Monty in his face all day long, and there's just nothing you can do in those situations if you're if you're on your own right there, other than to wait for a second one to peek on that Monty. And once that second one peeks, you just have to hope that you get the kill. If not, well, then you'll most likely be dead. And even if you get a kill, you'll most likely be dead anyways. The Monty is just so strong once you have a good initial situation, when you have a 5 versus 3, a 5 versus 4, and you can perhaps single out one of those defensive players. And you can see why MVG are bringing it. But now over towards the defense, they'll have to be bringing a completely different operator setup. And who will bring us into that operator setup, and what that operator setup could perhaps bring us here in this final round of Chalet.
Yeah, well, seeing Banquas on this mirror, like most of these defenses that focus around bar gaming, and that really forces Connor to pick that switch, because you need something to just try and disrupt those mirrors. So immediately you see him on that drone, trying to potentially get away with dealing with an unmanned window. That being said, there is a player there, but Connor, I think, just gets away with a freebie there. Does take out that window with the mirror herself sitting right by his drone. Is desperately trying to scramble away, gets a consolation prize as well, destroying that camera. And NT taken down by Benzino as well. I believe a run out from the Frost there, and that's that star player MVG being cut down so early in such a pivotal round.
You run out in a round like this? Yeah, bye NT, bye. But see you later. I will be doing the exact same thing. I will be smashing my controller if I will be doing that in a round like this, where it's for elimination. In the tournament, it's match point of the first game, and you just do a run out, you immediately die. Well, that's one way to get off to a bad start for MVG. 5 versus 4 now, and Pulse, they're taking their time. They're calling this stalemate, just trying to drown out where these defenders are playing, make sure that they have all the information they need, so that once they do get near, they can just perfectly play for the trades. There's only a mirror playing on the side. Other than that, we have a couple players playing upstairs. Schnitzy will get another one with the nade, and now it's seeming like Pulse might be able to take the first map of MVG. Well, the predictions will be proven completely wrong if that does happen. 1 minute 10 left on the clock. Pulse should be starting to make their move any second now.
Yeah, MVG, they do have a lot of utility that can sort of help them out here, but they just don't have the number of guns left. Schnitzy gets a second, forcing Banquas to get quite aggressive here to even things out. Zello as well, giving up his hold on the top of the stairs, just trying to take out this player in fireplace. Banquas does manage to lock up that kill and reposition himself. He could maybe catch another off guard here. very much an off angle. Zello as well getting so aggressive
Hold
because
on.
they need to. Nitro ripped out, but AJ escapes just in time. Zello still getting aggressive here, but he whips the gunfight. Then Genio takes him out. It's all on Vanquish in a 1 versus 4. They need this map to just give them a chance here. He's going all the way up. Can he land the gunfight? Yes, he can. 1 versus 3 as Later gets taken down as Vanquish just keeps eating that gridlock damage. But now it seems like the attack and defense have completely swapped places. Full control of the site given and not a lot of angles to really use here. Vanquish is trying his best, spotted down by the player. Schnitzy walking up those fireplace stairs, and map 1 will go to Team Pulse.
Well, Pooble, I'm not in chat right here, but I do not want to know what chat looks like after we saw the community vote predictions being so heavily favored towards MVG. Now they lose their first game against Pulse here, and within their first game, the last round, one of your players leaves, or your star player leaves after missing out on a run out. Damn, that's one way to get yourself into a best of 3. This, I mean, for MVG, it was looking quite kind of decent going all the way through, but now towards the end here, it looks bad going in towards the second map.
Yeah, and I think this break between the maps is probably going to be the most important part of this entire series. They need to just reset completely. They need to chill out here. There's not a lot of time between maps either as we head on to map 2. MVG can't afford to really start that map with the same attitude they've got here, because things like running out on that final round and just leaving, not even assisting your teammates on cameras or anything, you can tell vibes are not the greatest in the MVG camp here, and you can't really blame them. You had players dropping like 18 kills on the side of MVG, and they just can't get it over the line. You had such a good start, and things all just slowly began to fall apart for them. You got a feel for them, and they still have a chance to bring it back. Best of 3 means 2 more maps they need to win to get even a chance at getting to a qualification match. This is elimination. This is not a promotion match either. So there's still quite a long journey for either of these teams, especially MVG. They really need to just reset here and get on a strong foot onto the second map of Clubhouse.
Exactly. Second map of Clubhouse coming right up, as we do have MVG on the back foot here. We're going to have to see if they could pull us back in this second map, and if they do, if they could perhaps take over on that third map of Skyscraper. Ladies and gentlemen, they need a break. We need a break. Grab yourself some popcorn or some snacks. We'll be right back after a short break.
Welcome back to ESA Cup. We are halfway through a best of 3 here, and well, that first map really ended in tense fashion. MVG unfortunately fall to Team Pulse 8-7, and from that final round, things certainly seem to not be going too well in the MVG camp.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem to be going well in their camp. For everyone who missed it, in that final round, we had one of the MVG players going for a run out, immediately dying on that run out, and then disconnecting from the game, not even going onto cameras, not even trying to help out his teammates with any calls or any ideas. No, just completely left the game. So we're going to have to hope, or everyone that is an MVG fan is going to have to hope that they can get their minds back into the game in this second map. And that was only just a small fault, a small accident, maybe even after a map where they did play pretty decently, but they statistically shouldn't have lost.
Yeah, they were consistently ahead in round count. They got a 4-2 half on the defense on Chalet, which is pretty impressive, as Chalet tends to be, even some would argue, quite attacker favored at times. But still, they just fall in that second half, and there were a couple of really crucial clutches from the side of Team Pulse that really got them onto that overtime. And once they got into OT, they were consistently ahead. And before we get into this second map, I believe we have some team graphics to really just give us a bit more of a deep dive into these teams. So the first off here is Team Pulse, and immediately, as you can see, these two are quite sort of middle of the pack teams, and that is sort of reflected here in a 37% win rate for Team Pulse.
Yeah, and what you can see on Team Pulse's stats as well is their best map is Chalet. We just saw Chalet coming through on that first map, and they did manage to get that Chalet win, but it was a tough one. We did see MVG really taking them all the way on that Chalet game. So considering that, it's good because MVG definitely did do their job on that Chalet map, but they could have won it. They could have won that one out. We do see as the worst map for both these teams actually is Oregon. You can switch over, and for their most bans over towards the MVG side, we have Nook, and we do have that Mossy, and the favorite map will be that Villa, which we won't even see today here, but Boo Boo.
Yeah, and Villa really does show that MVG are quite confident on these really sort of large maps, but we don't have a large map. We don't have Villa. We're not playing Bank this map series either. So really, they might be a bit out of their comfort zone here on maps like Chalet, like Club. There may be a bit of hope for Skyscraper, which has a bit of a larger floor plan. They could maybe sort of utilize that. Is similar in composition of being split up in sort of two halves on that second floor as well. But that requires MVG to get to that map 3 in general. So this does kind of show that with their worst map being Oregon, which is a consistent thing just due to playtime, that might bleed over into playing in clubhouses. There are two very default maps here.
Yeah, both of these maps are very default. But we're gonna have to see what this last map or what this second map will bring us, because we are starting to head into it. It is gonna be Clubhouse over towards this map number 2. It's MVG's pick. We'll have to wait and see what they will bring us here, and I wonder what side they will be what side they will be starting on here.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing. Well, okay, let's do this little ban game you've been doing.
Yeah, the
you
ban
have
game.
1-0 on me currently. I'm going to just double down and say Nook's going to be this first attack.
I'm gonna double down as well. Go Dokebi.
Okay, well, let's see who's right here. This will.
Or actually, no, I'm going Jacko actually.
Jackal.
Because we're on console. And the Dokebi's MK11, I think it is, doesn't seem to be too prevalent. Oh, actually, Ibana. Well, what I'm gonna say is the MK11 doesn't seem to be too prevalent on console because automatic weapons here seem to be preferred. I'm gonna say Jackal, but well, we won't get to see both of those.
Yeah, the Hibana pick certainly makes sense, although especially for teams like MVG, they tend to sort of focus more around fragging operators, but Hibana definitely does make logical sense utility-wise. There's a lot of hatches, particularly for that basement site, which is particularly hard to crack for the attack, and Hibana can open 4 hatches, and she's the most efficient at opening that specific type of reinforcement. Makes a lot of sense. The Monty ban as well, really potentially just a target ban at the last map. Zello, incredibly proficient at that operator. I believe anyway it was Pulse banning that out. Yep. Yeah. Pulse just banning out Montagne there. Clearly seems to be more of like a target ban. Monty is certainly very useful in areas like Tunnel, as is Azami, who unfortunately is not making it to the action phase this time. Very strong operator, very good at just locking down certain angles. Just remained strong for nearly a year now, I believe. Going to be taken out here though as we get that final defender, probably something like Solace or Valk, I'd imagine. In fact, Fenrir, that other incredibly sort of powerful defender being taken off the board. So now, lucky for the attacking side here, we're going to have a Solus roaming around likely.
Yeah, we're most likely going to have that very annoying Solus running around. And on Clubhouse, I feel like Solus is one of those defensive characters or operators which we always get to see. Or if she isn't banned, she always gets into every single run. And she's just so useful. If you have her in the right hands, though, it's only if you have her in the hands of one of those fraggers like Connor that can just completely take over a map. And I think over towards this MVG side, we did see NT, who was one of the star players from that last map, and he's going to be playing that Echo. We're not going to see that Solus on him just yet. But instead, an Echo is still quite a prominent choice. You can go with those drones. You can really give your roamers a lot of info, and you have that 1.5 scope, quite decent gun with a suppressor, with quite a high fire rate. He's still a decent character operator, but I'm surprised that we do not get to see the Solus coming off immediately here.
Yeah, quite a standard operator lineup for this site, but this site is by no means standard. Bar and Stage immediately sort of starting off this game here. Echo likely going to be hiding in the basement for a considerable amount of time, I would imagine, just purely focusing on disrupting the attack above and potentially even denying plants if things come to it. The mirror is going to be a big point of contention, as are these castle barricades, which MVG were very comfortable using in the previous map, and Yannick actually gets the opening pick, and if sort of the past has told us anything, when MVG can get these uncontested openers, they tend to win these rounds in quite convincing fashion.
And they get another one. Yeah. And just like in the last map, they get one, and then off the back of that, they immediately get another one. 5-on-3, and well, if you pause here, you're already looking at the back of losing that first round within just a minute. They've got to try to find a couple openings. Already gotten a couple of those angleways, spotted a couple of defenders, but nothing really going their way in terms of damage or in terms of bullets hitting anything. There's 2 minutes still left on the clock. Cello's still upstairs in that gym holding the holding the little breach. We'll most likely see a pool hit coming in any second now. There we go. Pool's being opened up by the ace, which isn't even actually necessarily needed. They'll still go for it. NT is now setting up those echo drones over towards that pool table, so that not much can happen. But he's set up in a bad position, in my opinion. He could be caught off guard there.
Yeah, I mean, those early hits onto the Ash, onto the Yana do give some security, as it's going to be very hard to take down those castle barricades protecting them. There's, I believe, no explosive utility now those ace charges have been used, other than the breaching charges, but it's a big risk, because Lighty would have to get right up close to that castle barricade, and he's showing that he by no means wants to. Schnitzy instead have been playing the very, very tight angle, just trying to punch it open, as Zello's operator pick here still causing a lot of problems, as is his position, still being very aggressive down this hatch. NT just feeding intel to the rest of the team here. There's practically no way MVG can really lose this round unless they start letting these gunfights slip away. AJ gets one to labor cooking, and suddenly Pulse are maybe given a slight opening into this, and just as I say that, Zello snatches up another Yannick as well. 1 versus 4 for Schnitzy.
Yeah, Snitzy sees the one dropping from the hatch, but doesn't quite catch it in time. Down to low HP now, as the Echo Drone will be concussing him for just a slight bit. 20 seconds left on the clock. He at least has the diffuser going for him and a smoke, so he could be deploying that in order to get himself in towards the side. Mozzie peeking out, but no, he will not get the shot, as some of these defenders getting it, or MVG getting it started off great immediately, just like they did on that first map. We see them take those first couple kills in the beginning of that round, and we see them get ahead in the beginning of the game immediately.
Yeah, nothing really too concerning for Pulse there. They did manage to get a decent fight throughout that, but also it was a very sort of strange site to attack into. Although granted, you now have that repick feature, so you don't have to like presumptively predict what lineup to bring. You can tailor make your lineup for the site. Still, you don't get to attack that site very often in official matches. Teams tend to go to the basement, like MVG are going now. So there's not as much experience attacking that, and that tends to see Bar actually having quite a high win rate, despite on paper being quite a weak site. So Pulse, they're now actually tasked with dealing with quite a conventional site here in this basement. They can't bring that Habana, as it was banned out. Instead, preferring to bring that Ace. We're likely going to see Buck using that secondary hard breach gadget, I would imagine, purely as Ace could only actually destroy a single hatch here, and that just simply won't cut it for a basement defense. On the defensive side, Mirror being brought once again, Banqua's on that one, a lot of sort of frag-centered operators, Malusi and Valkyrie being brought as well. Very deadly picks for the side of MVG here. Connor just sticking that Ash. He was a star player in that previous map. Hasn't quite found the scoreboard yet, 1 round in, but to be fair, neither has a lot of his team, so there's still plenty of opportunities for him to just go absolutely nuclear on this map.
Yeah, exactly, and especially after they just got shut down that hard last round. Pulse, or no one on that post had really got any chance to get fired up already in this second map of Clubhouse. I have to really see if Connor can be one of those players that again could get fired up and again can be the star player. Because there's just such a here on this console, on the console platform, there sometimes are those fragger players that are so proficient with their mechanics. They seem so much like an actual PC player, and Connor is one of those. If he can really just start to use those mechanics in a great advantage, in a great way, you could definitely just see him take absolutely over. And oh, that's a little bit of lag coming through for the Warden, I think. Benzino is going to be getting rid of some of those Val cams. Oh, that's an interesting one. Benzino with a tap through the roof, or through, not through the roof, through the floor, will get NT. That's a freebie.
I'm not sure if NT was on camera there.
Yeah, he must have been on camera, or maybe
he must have been, but we know they should surely know Benzino's on that IQ, right? Because they've immediately snuffed out your Valkyrie cam. There was even intel in that corridor, potentially being able to see in the kitchen as Label Cooking on that Valk just misses a couple crucial shots as Schnitzy gets one that Ying still has all his utility in pocket. So now it very much seems like they're just waiting to get these hatches open so they can flood Armory with utility here. All of these attackers are alive. It's only 3 on the side of the defense still remaining. Tunnel seems completely clear as Zello just charges up the main stairs and retakes bar. Oh my goodness, gets 2!
What is that? Zello gets so aggressive, gets so active with it, knows that it's a 3 versus 5 situation and they need to get a couple kills in order to pull it back. And from the back he gets 2. The diffuser did get down, that he drops down from the hatch, but in the meantime, one of his teammates, one of his comrades will lose his life in the form of battle. Benzino now down to low HP as it is a 3 versus 2. One shot will take one of them down. Yannick from behind will get taken down. It will have to be an ace from Zello if you want to clutch it out, and he will already find himself the triple kill. But from behind, Benzino on that 1 HP, he got out earlier and he will manage to be a nuisance to this defending team over towards the end. We could have seen a clutch from Zeno, but it was just not quite there.
Yeah, very good play from Zello there, just taking that risk, marching up the main stairs, taking down 2 in the bar. But really, the main thing that round showed was Pulse. They're incredible at attacking these more basic sites like the basement. Sure, the bar really seemed to catch them off guard. They very much seemed stunted in the way they attacked that. But when it came to attacking basement, they were just mercilessly efficient, going in, clearing that utility so early on, getting a lot of map control really early on. The only real adversity they faced was that mirror just charging up the main stairs. They dispatched the roamers incredibly easily. They got those hatches open incredibly easily. They had the right tools for the job. And, well, Label Cooking, he's really going out there, picking the Rook here, which I can't say I'm a fan of. A very almost useless operator here at this kind of tier of play. We see a lot of just headshot kills, so sure, the slight damage reduction is, I guess, useful, but I would argue it's a lot less useful than a real piece of utility. You know, something like the Kayad, who has managed to get through this ban phase, and we've seen that some of these teams aren't a fan of that operator, so just bring it. Stall the attack for a little bit of time by bringing those claws. Bring anything other than the Rook armor, really. I might be proven wrong here, but Label Cookie's 0-2. I don't think it's the same gun exactly. P90. You have a just direct upgrade in that Solace. So I'm not convinced with this MVG defense.
And if you are a Liverpool in this situation and you want to play an anchor, you do not want to play a Solace necessarily. You could have someone else. You could just switch around with the Wamai. Let Yannick play on that Romer. Let Yannick play solo. So let Zello. Zello's having a great game. It's you have a similar kind of job with that mirror in terms of the Rook and mirror kind of switch around. But then Zello could just play a bit more aggressive on that roam, on that Solus, which you really want if she isn't banned. But they're just not putting it into use at all. Maybe a mistake from MVG. Maybe it's just all planned out, as they do seem so determined on this operator setup. You just have to wait and see what it brings.
Yeah, ping goes out from Benzino, so they know someone's on the cameras. I can't imagine MVG are going to fall for the same mistake twice, as they are likely in cover. The Valkyrie completely substituted out in this lineup as well. They've acknowledged that Benzino can just deal with that too easily. Nitrocell ripped by Zello, but doesn't hit much. He's trying to go for the same play twice. Can he trick him again? No, he can't. Completely forced back already as MVG just immediately on the back foot. Sure, they've not dropped bodies yet, but Zello on half health. They've just got this whole Rook problem of not having a lot of real impact here. Leverkusen, and he's going to need to get kills, but that's Benzino to find the scoreboard first.
Yeah, they have no impact, they have no control, and they're all just playing an anchor playstyle here on the MVG side. The anchor playstyle is just not working out as the holes are just all giving him away bit by bit. It's down into a 3 versus 5. Zalo has been tagged just by a bit. The only one that has taken a slight bit of damage on that pole side is AJ. Banquiz is now getting entered in upon by AJ, and AJ will not hit his shots quite in time, but it will do a lot of damage, and eventually it won't even matter as Banquiz's head will be chopped off. Zelo will receive a nade straight into his face, which won't put him down on the ground, but will put him down onto low HP. He still manages to survive. Is the Rook Armor? Is the Rook Armor doing its job? And is the Rook Armor? That doesn't win the round.
It almost had an impact there, but when you're dealing with these Pulse players just charging into the site, that like 5-second revive animation just isn't going to cut it, I'm afraid. Still on 20 HP, with all the utility being thrown in. Sure, you got a great play there with the mirror, I believe, of Zello just in church, managing to pick up 1 onto the Ying after getting down, but aside from that, there was really no value found for the operator. In fact, he was just baited into going for an impact trick. Phenomenal play from Pulse, though, however. 2 rounds in a row now winning that side, and it's forced MVG to change up their tactics a bit. They don't even go back to bar either. I think they're too scared to redo that. MVG just once again on the back foot here as Pulse, as I said before, just showing this mechanical efficiency. They're able to clear all the angles that MVG are playing. This playstyle has been completely read into. Homework must have been done by Pulse here if they're just being able to clear these angles from seemingly free. So we're going to be going up to the gym and bedroom now, completely separate site, not been seen before today, but they're a vaguely similar setup. Zello once again on that mirror that has provided him with a lot of good usage. NT onto that Mozzie, a real fragging operator that could be very much helpful for him, as he did have a phenomenal Chalet matchup last time. Leverkusen on that Frost, still yet to find any direct input, but still a lot of utility brought by the operator could at least dampen that a little bit. On the side of Pulse, though, a lot of frying operator is still being brought. Benzino's just sticking that IQ that has done him wonders so far. The only big sort of sticking point is Connor, but even without Connor hitting the scoreboard at all, these Pulse players are still doing a very, very good job on these attacks.
Exactly, and I just feel like it's an imminent danger before Connor really gets into this game and really starts to get around for himself. It's just all about the time. It's all about the timing, actually. As he does get himself in there and he does pick up the first one. That's one onto Leverkusen, as he's already gotten himself in underneath the gym site in that bar pool. And he's going to try to get out of there, but he's caught off guard from behind by Snitzy. It's looking like Pools are going to be putting another one on the board quite easily. 5-on-3. Lightsy is just getting out of spawn now, and it's a 5-on-3. Oh, man. Pools have done their job at letting their attackers or letting their entries doing whatever they need to do. Connor will eventually fall, but Lighty immediately there with a trade over towards Zello will keep it in check for Pulse as MVGs only have 2 players left. The Mute is gonna go for a peek, and that's a down onto Lighty. As the hard breacher on the ground, Yannick will eventually hit the floor as well, as Banquiz is the last one standing. He's been spotted, AJ shooting a couple shots. Banquiz now down to low HP, but with 1 minute 30 still left on the clock, he's just gonna die. He has to peek into it, he has to get a kill. He's so desperate for it there, you can see it, but he just does not get it.
I'm honestly just sat here shaking my head, really, because MVG, it seems everything they try and do, Pulse have got an answer for it. They do this wide open setup on the top floor, and Pulse just totally ignore it. They go for picks through the jacuzzi wall, up those main stairs. They're very good at reading into the game that MVG are trying to play and doing the polar opposite, just continually making MVG incredibly uncomfortable and always putting them on that back foot. Sure, you had that Mute going for a very risky play, using up all his ammo to go for that peek, but that's just the go sign for the player to just run up red and catch him completely off guard reloading. Pulse, they're just so good at working as a cohesive unit. You even pointed out, Lightsy, a whole minute went by, 2 kills
went in the favor of Pulse, and he was just droning because he knows he has such great players that if he just gives them the intel, they will do wonders. And it's forced MVG back to this little trap card of bar and stage, the one kind of success they had in this map, and they're going to have to replicate it against a Pulse side that really have woken up going into Clubhouse there.
Exactly, and Pooble, one thing I really want to point out here is the fact that MBG is not using that timeout in a round like this, which is so make or break for the rest of the game, especially for the rest of the half. If they lose this, we're going 1-4. If they lose this, it's a potential for a 1-5 half. If they win this, they could pull it back into a 3-3. They're not using the timeout though. Instead, they're just going in fully blind, doing the exact same thing they did earlier on. And if I know Pulse, the way Pulse played on that first map we saw earlier on, they will adapt. They will adapt to what MVG showed earlier on, and they will perhaps be able to take it. But NT already with a cheeky one for MVG. That's Lightsy down. That's a Lion, the trap card in the bunch for Pulse out. He's unfortunately will have to continue on with a 5 versus 4, but if I'm not mistaken, already called Connor. Yeah, Connor is on a lurk, and Connor is starting to smell dinner. He's hungry as well.
It's gonna be a crucial kill.
Get him oh, there's one on the stairs right there. There's a trap, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, that's a Muzzy trap. Yes, there's Lebkuchen. Oh, he's distracted by the camera. I think he's heard the footsteps now. He should have been able to hear it. And oh, there's a second one from downstairs. Yannick will take him down.
Connor at least manages to get that echo, which could be a very good result later on to this round when it comes to the execute. It's going to at least limit the amount of intel that MVG can get. As Schnitzy now, he's just going to back up that position where Connor fell. He's trying to get that very delayed trade, but the barricade being put in smart from Yannick there just forces him to give away his position. An ace charge, I think, being used there, as I can't imagine Schnitzy is actually going to stick around to find out if that defender is still remaining there. With the low body count on the side of Pulse, Benzino getting very, very aggressive here. But Schnitzy, he actually stuck it on the basement all alone. Gets one, AJ gets another. 2 versus 2, we're all even. Zello alone on that top floor. Late Cooking alone in the site. Whips his shots against AJ and Benzi. They could very well do this. He's off on an island by that shield. If they can just capitalize on this one moment of solitude before that remaining defender gets in. But Leverkusen, great pick on that Vector, getting one down, immediately forces AJ into this clutch, but he seems to have a very good idea of where Zello is. Aims away, Siege timing, doesn't quite bite him yet, but there we go. Leverkusen gets those final 2. A little bit of a crouch there, and MVG, they put another on the board.
Oh, finally. You've got to be sighing a little sigh of relief there if you're MVG. That got down to the nail right there. They could just... Pulse just couldn't quite get in from over towards that kitchen side. They just couldn't quite seem to break that setup that they had Lebkuchen had going with his teammates. They're one and done, where if you peek one, you're just going to be peeked over towards the end. We do have a disconnect, so Benkers, I mean, I saw a pause timer, so hopefully no rehost for today. Hopefully we'll just keep on going again. Yeah, hopefully we'll keep on going. I think we had 3 or 4 rehosts yesterday.
Oh,
one
sometimes
of them
it'd be like that.
Yeah,
sometimes it'd be like that.
It do be like that sometimes in Siege, but hopefully we will be returning pretty soon. And MVG, they want to return pretty soon as well, I think, because they just caught that little bit of win. They need to use that little bit of momentum to really catch themselves. They just need to raise them now.
Yeah, Pulse should really be thanking the fact that they have this just brief moment to talk that over, and as you said, not let MVG sort of string together any more rounds, get any more momentum. I'm not sure how long it's going to be till Bankers rejoins here, but MVG, although I would say they can't really win this half, they can at very least tie it. Meanwhile, for the side of Pulse, getting 3 in a row there is very, very good immediately. They're already on a very good foot here. They're at least going to have that 3-round sort of safety net going into the defensive side, where they'll likely pick up even more rounds. So overall, a very good performance from them in this first sort of quarter of the matchup here, as we're going to hopefully be getting back very, very soon here. It looks like it's going to be a basement defense for MVG, though, and that really didn't serve them very well in their previous 2 attempts. Pulse just seemed to just eat them up alive, and I've got to question this choice, really, when CCTV is up and operational, you can still pick it up. Granted, it's by no means as strong a site as it once was, but still, you haven't shown it yet. Pulse haven't demonstrated an ability to actually attack onto it yet. I'm really thinking they should just try and give CCTV a chance in round 6 here, just to throw something different at Pulse.
Exactly, throwing something different at Pulse would definitely be a play around here, because Pulse have been winning some of these rounds where MVG have been going towards the basement. So it's just going to be one of those times where MVG go for the most default stuff once again. They've only found success at bar so far this entire half. That's where these 2 rounds have came from. We've got to remember that. Or if we look at the statistic, Pulse are most likely set to win this round. It's going to have to be a little bit of an upset if MVG take this one. That's why I feel like if Pulse just do their default stuff, if this doesn't necessarily get into their heads, the fact that they did lose that last one, and even they might have lost that last one, but it still got really close. They could really just take over this last round and place themselves in a 4-2, so that they really have a great safety net for their second half. And if they could even get that first offensive defender round going on that second half, they would be 1 away from match point. They would be 1 away from series point, actually, and they would be really close to perhaps closing this game out.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we are having a little bit of trouble here, so we're going to have to throw to that dreaded rehost. I think we'll just go on a quick break. We'll be back very, very soon. I think it's just a case of making a new lobby just because of game restarts. But we'll be back very, very soon. Just going to throw to a quick break, but just don't go anywhere. We'll literally be a couple minutes. And we're back. We had a brief rehost there just to get players back into the lobby, and we are once again back here as MVG. They are daring to go back down to the basement once again. The previous 2 attempts have not been successful, as I believe we might have to go to another pause here. I don't think it should be a rehost because they haven't abandoned the match, but we might have to go to a quick pause here as we get these players in the actual matchup. But yeah, I'm not a fan of MVG going down to the basement for a 3rd time. They were just mauled their first 2 attempts by Pulse, who just seemed to could just completely just counter everything they did. They had knowledge of where all their players were playing. The utility usage was great. Nades were great down there. So Pulse should really be winning this round and getting a 4-2 half on their attack if things go to plan.
Exactly, and especially considering the fact that MVG they haven't really shown anything so far besides those 2 points that they got on that bar room. They haven't done anything. They haven't shown anything on any of these other sides. I feel like MVG are just looking at climbing hill here. Lightsy has finally returned back into the game, so we should be able to resume any second now. Yeah, the timer has been on pause as we do head into this last round. Pulse are taking on MVG, and MVG have decided to go all the way back down once again, where they've found no success so far.
It's a gamble. I'll give them that. It's a very big gamble here. We are finally seeing that Solace, an operator we've been singing the praises of a lot, just due to how powerful she can be, the ability to see all those gadgets through the walls, and Zello maybe trying to bring that secret ingredient that is the cat can, just to cause a little bit of that chip damage towards these attackers. As, to be fair to MVG, Pulse have been very fast with their aggression, so you could easily catch them off guard with these EDDs. Oryx as well, I guess, could also be useful. There's obviously no Monty to worry about this time, but still, it was a very potent operator. He can maneuver around the map incredibly quickly. Label Cook on that Mozzie. Mozzie's always a consistent pick, especially in the console leagues. They very much seem to like roaming around with him. NT may be prepping a little bit of a run out there, I'm not too sure, but either way, he seemed to be deterred by something as he's going actually to the top floor to really just cement this as a very wide extended run.
Yeah, and I'm liking this from MVG already, switching it up a slight bit as we saw them play such a heavy anchor strat earlier on over towards that church side. Whereas now we do immediately see the Oryx, see the Solus come out, and well, actually, their roaming plan is not going to come into any fruition just yet, as the first one has already been taken down. That's Leverkusen biting the dust. Corner has spotted a second one. That's going to be the Solus, and there's actually 2 more all the way upstairs here. AJ poking a couple shots through the window, but nothing connecting just quite yet, as he will drop down. The Ash is still hunting. The Ash is smelling blood in the water, and like a shark, just hunting it down bit by bit. But Yannick seeming aware of the looming danger. He's starting to tread in closer. Yannick spots him out. Nothing quite connecting just yet, and the Ash just goes for a wide swing like that, considering that Yannick is down to low bullet count. But Yannick doesn't quite hit the shots. Eventually, Connor will connect on that headshot with the Ash. Now, Enti is going to have to back off out of there. The gamble has not paid off for MVG at all. They decided to go church again when they've had no success. They switch it up just by a slight bit, playing a couple roamers, and all of their roamers will fall without any success. Benzino will find one as well, and leaving it all up to Zello, who has been quite a carry for his team this game, but no, he will not find anything but his 1 kill.
And unfortunately for MVG, that brings Pulse up to a 4-2 half, going now onto their defense. And even then, I would say that's fairly lucky for MVG. They really won that second bar defense off of a clutch, and that final basement defense, like the other two, was a total dismantling of that MVG roam game entirely. Even though they committed more bodies upstairs this time to try and help each other, they once again just seem to get picked apart, isolated from one another, and just destroyed by Pulse's entry players, really. So Pulse now going down to basement, potentially trying to show MVG how it's really done. Looks to be more of a roaming setup as well, though the Mirror, a kind of constant of this defense, still just locking down that basement itself. Goyo as well being brought in just to try and deny a little bit of area, likely putting one towards that tunnel to prevent any kind of rushes, maybe one on those main stairs as well, just to stop those main entry points from being able to be used by the attack for prolonged periods of time. There is a lot of time burn that Goyo has in those 4 canisters. Meanwhile, MVG, again, not able to use this Habana, as they believe they were the ones to ban it out themselves. So instead, they're going to be relying on that ace as well as secondary hard breach that will likely be brought by both the Buck, maybe the Ying as well if they want to throw those smoke grenades, being already having plenty of utility being brought. So again, it's going to be a case of can MVG dislodge this roam game, because Pulse were remarkable at doing it when they were attacking the basement. Can MVG try and emulate that success?
Yeah, and I'm liking what we're seeing from Pulse already with this roam game. They're seeming to have a set setup, to have a set plan where everything is going, what bullet holes they're making, where every piece of utility is placed. Whereas that roam game that we saw from MVG early on, where they were playing in that church side, it seemed a bit weak, it seemed a bit loosey-goosey everywhere. It seems like something has been prepared, even though everyone does go back down towards the basement. Interesting choice from this Pulse team, but maybe it is all just to try to get rid of as much time from this MVG team. They've set up a lot of this stuff to perhaps catch this MVG team off guard. They're gonna have to clear every single corner, every single little corridor, because they cannot find anyone here. Something has been set up over here, but it might just be a fake. I feel like it's all just a fake here. Yeah. MVG are just going to be wasting time.
Yeah, very efficient drone work to MVG's credit, immediately kind of sussing out the fact that, yeah, that is a complete ghost setup. There is no defender actively playing up there. A nice drone and boiler as well, just sort of seeing these positions behind the mirror window. Just due to the angle, they can actually get direct eyes on the defender below there. A bit of utility being used as, I believe that Schnitzy's Nitro herself being pulled, but MVG, they're finally managing to open up to some of these hatches with a minute and a half even left on the clock. They've still got to deal with these oil canisters though, and that could really be a sticking point here. The approach from NT is going to be completely halted by that fire, and I think it really was the right call bringing all these defenders back. The main thing that really crippled MVG's defenses were those early roamer deaths. So just going for a full 5 on the basement, it's really given them a lot more firepower down when it comes to the execute.
Yeah, the only problem is those Schnitty is already full, and those Goyo canisters are going to be out for the count anytime soon. The kills are going in the way of MBG as MT opens up the scoreboard with 2 for himself. Zello will find 1, and Benzino is the last one left. Clean, actually flawless round from MBG as they will take their first one here on this attacking side. It's seeming like we have a game on our hands here.
It certainly seems like the basement is just cursed for the defense. The incredible, just one-sided attacking wins, no matter which team is actually defending it. Pulse, they're seemingly tempting it again, going back once again. We could see a bit more of a dedicated roam game this time. The fake out didn't exactly work due to how efficient MVG's actual clear of the roamers was with the drone work. So maybe we'll see them actually stick their heels down in places like the logistics office, like bedroom, just trying to take out anyone that comes their way. MVG, though, still opting a very similar setup. You've got those secondary hard breaches, Ying as well for the actual execute, and just the firepower of Yannick and NT. NT finally hitting this board now again. Got to 2 in that first round after the first 2 rounds after the rehearse. He's finally sort of finding his mark. Very good. He was an incredible player for MVG that last map. Really almost got them through at the very end. They just felt that final hurdle. Meanwhile, for Pulse, they need to sort of keep this advantage going. If they tie up, it's not going to be great for them. They want to still be on that front foot because MVG, shown particularly in Chalet, when they're not in the lead, they begin to crumble. So this is kind of almost a must-win round for Pulse here, and they have chosen to go to the very weak site that we've seen so far.
Exactly, that very weak side, but at least the one thing that they do have to go off is the fact that they can make some adjustments on the mistakes they made a little bit ago. They can try to pull some improvisations on what went wrong earlier on. Although, while I'm saying that, everyone is back to anchoring on towards the sides. Everyone, again, is back over here, just like we saw last round, where they didn't have any success. It's, again, a ghost setup coming out from this defensive side, and with this time we'll have to see if MBG clear it out just as quickly, because if they do, I feel like we're just gonna rewrite history here. Slowly already starting to make way of all of that space with the drones. MBG to start to catch wind of what might be going on over here. Should be aware of the potential that is looming of it just being another ghost setup, because it just happened a second ago. Why would you not think that it's just gonna happen now? Now I think it looks like they've already decided that it is one, and that they do now have 2 minutes left in order to try to hit this side, in order to try to open up those angles. And if you're secret, or sorry, if you're that defensive side here, you do not want that to happen.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand the thought process of repeating it again. Gunfights very much almost down to chance, and if you can just win those couple 1v1s, it goes a very different way. Ooh. But with no actual sort of tried and tested changes here, there's no real strategic differences. They're just redoing it. And as you said, history's repeating. Schnitzy, first dead again. Pulse players still just getting very close to the site for seemingly free. Benzino completely isolated in the armory position. Connor now taking up the range behind that mirror as NT does get taken down this time. Crucial difference. Connor with a great kill, long range onto blue stairs, could really propel Pulse Nation into this, but he's going to be a crucial first point of contest. But actually, Zello taken down at Bankers as well. Warden isn't even needed to dispatch the Ying as suddenly MVG thoroughly on the back foot here.
Yeah, maybe something just happened in that previous round which we perhaps didn't ride into. I feel like Pulse might have just had that timing going wrong for them in that first round, because this time the setup seems way more stronger. It seems way more resilient. It seems like there's some actual power behind those legs, behind those running legs that can just get yourselves in there. But over on the other side, there is some finding back as Yannick and Lebkuchen will find one each. AJ and Lightsy now have to do it for this defensive side. With 20 seconds left, that last Gaio canister is going to be deployed. Lightsy still just holding the line. The fuser is now going to be planted. AJ is making his way in closer. Still has a nade or 2 available. Both will be deployed over towards the end. And okay! The nade and the C4 will just finish up the round cleanly here for Poses. They have kept on to that for a long time. It will work out for them perfectly.
And that was nearly a very scary post plant. You saw AJ take a significant amount of damage when he went for that impact play, but it does end up working out, and the support from his teammate getting the nitro cell as well. If AJ died there, 2 versus 1 for the Mute would not have been very likely they're winning that, along with the plant actually getting stuck as well. Even a 1 versus 1 if the impact did hit still favors the attack, so very good utility usage from Pulse there, just stopping that bad scenario before it even managed to sort of get on its feet. Very good response there. So I guess you were right, there was something we didn't see maybe that just led to Pulse getting a much more dominant win there compared to that whimper of the previous defense. But anyway, they're now going up to German bedroom here. Again, a site that unfortunately didn't find much success with MVG. In fact, they only really won bar on their defenses, so we can't take that too much for sort of as fact, I guess. Still, they're going up here, they're going a very similar sort of setup. They're extending out to CC fairly normal. Like, going to put a meat jammer there as well, just to keep that wall closed a little bit longer, just to waste a bit of time. Nothing too out the ordinary operator picks wise. You're seeing the castle being brought once again, just to force the attack to put a little bit more. Oh, just going to war, trying to protect that drone, but Lightsy finally gets it. Inside of MVG as well, everything seems very normal, very default here. It's just going to be just very regular lineups. I guess the mirror still being brought, a mainstay of these defensive setups. Apart from that, everything's just very, very standard.
But the fact that this is just a very standard, a very linear lineup here coming out here from the Pulse side, it is a true test for this MVG side that they do have the basics down, that they do have the stuff down that they should be able to have, because this is something that they should be able to read into. This setup is something that they should be able to counter. Any team should be able to do it, in my opinion. And we'll just have to see if MVG can just do that, because this is their true test. If not, it will be match point. Well, I mean, one of the tests has already failed, as AJ will take down 1. He's on for the second one. Oh my god, do not shoot the drone, do not shoot the drone. Yes, indeed, he did not shoot the drone, and he finds Yannick's head from behind. Or chopped it off. That's the second one, 3 and 5. MVG seem to be uncomfortable after that Roma has done his job.
And again, we're seeing great drone work from MVG, and aside from Banquers, they're just missing these actual gunfights. They're missing these shots, and it just sucks to see, because sort of intel-wise, especially as with this drone's utility, usage is very, very good for MVG. They have a clear grasp of the game, a clear understanding. But Pulse are just so much better in these gunfights, and it shows. 4-2 now, 4v2 in favor of Pulse here. Banqua's still outside this breach. Zello as well, quite far away, can't provide much impact again outside. It's going to be incredibly difficult for them to even link together. Just complete opposite ends of Zello, now making his way through the CC into office, just trying to find any engagement. He's got no ace charges left, so that mirror window will stay up. It's all going to be down to pre-fires there, as Lexi seems to know that, but he does want to get a bit aggressive. Swings out, gets the pick. MVG down 3 rounds now as Pulse managed to get it to 6.
And that's the quad kill actually coming out for AJ, I think it was. He does just absolutely take that round on the back, on his back. I'm gonna have to be wondering though, where is Pulse gonna take us next? Is it gonna be that CCTV? Is it gonna be that bar that MVG seem to be so prolific at? It does seem like we're going over to CCTV, but of course I do have to mention Pulse have CCTV left. After next round, they should be able to go all the way back down into Church again, where they seem to have a dominant round. And even after that one, they have another round where they could perhaps go back to that gym bedroom. Again, they have so many chances now to close this one out. Now that they have match point here on the defensive side, there's so many ways that they could close it out. But I'm just gonna have to be wondering if MVG will be coming back or will be waking up in this second map in this best of 3, because it seems like they will not be doing that at all.
Yeah, and another thing just to add to MVG's woes, we've not seen this site at all, this map. There is no previous knowledge to go off. There is nothing to sort of learn from in this entire map here. We've avoided CC for all of MVG's defensive half, so this is brand new uncharted territory for them in this matchup, which could severely hinder their attacking strategies, as well as they won't really sort of know how Pulse will try and play it, and there's just nothing really to go off of here. Granted, of course, it's Club. Every site kind of plays in a very standard way almost. MVG, they clearly have some kind of setup going here with that Maverick being brought for the first time, Flores as well, as is the Gridlock. So there are clear sort of gears working in the minds of the Pulse players here, but still, when it's uncharted territory and you don't know exactly what to deal with here, this could be really bad for MVG, because now they have no more chances left.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to yawn real quick. Probably made everyone in chat yawn at this very moment. But yeah, we do see them already starting to get in over towards that pool side, getting a lot of that control early on. As Yannick is going to open up this wall a slight bit. There is a bandit over towards that other side, so he should be able to destroy those bandit electro clothes, and not electro clothes, those bandit batteries. Those batteries, yes, indeed, batteries. And well, the entire east side has already been taken. It's seeming like they've been able to get in towards this defense like a snake constricting around. Yannick will actually find the first one onto AJ. The fragger of last round that seemed to do all of the work for the defensive side is already out of it, but Lightsey takes one back with 1 minute 30 left on the clock. Another one will be found for this attacking side. 2 and 3 now. Oh my god, the defense are starting to close it out. Pulse. Connor tries to go for a little bit of a run out, a little bit of a cheeky one. And Benzino is here, close with the shotgun, close with the boomstick. Will find Zello, leaving it all up to Yannick. Yannick has an angle onto Connor, but Connor is aware, and Connor will finish it up. Ladies and gentlemen, Pulse will take this game 2-0 against MVG.
Yep, commiserations MVG, they're out of the ESA Cup now, and this is a team that historically has done quite well. Obviously, more use of that UK iteration more than the German iteration, but still, these are a strong team, and unfortunately, just due to a variety of factors here, they just couldn't really close it out at all. They failed that final hurdle on Chalet, and when it got to Club, it seemed like they never really got going. Incredibly dominant win from Team Pulse here, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. It really was just a dominant win. And I feel like it was all off the back of that first map, and especially the last round of that first map where we saw the run out, where we saw the disconnect, the rage quit. It was really some problems in that MVG camp. Hopefully they can fix that. Hopefully it wasn't anything drastical that will perhaps deter them from going any further, because they got far in this tournament. Hopefully they shouldn't be deterred from going any further in any of the future tournaments, but they are out now. But we will be seeing Pulse going one step further, since they will avoid elimination. And I'm wondering who they're going to be playing against. Hopefully we can bring up the bracket real quick just to see who Pulse are going to be meeting in this next stage. Pooble, do you have any idea of who they will be meeting here?
I think just judging from, it's either going to be Minions or Tracker Clan. And I'm sure they are hoping they face Tracker Clan, because Minions were second place last season, and they've been incredibly strong so far. So I think from how seeding works, it might be Minions. I'm just looking at they were a lower seeded team to come into it, which means they should, in theory, be facing the sort of higher seeded ones. And Minions was higher up than Tracker going in. So I think, unfortunately for them, they might be against Minions. I've just heard from production, Pulse are going to be against Minions. So that is going to be a very difficult matchup for them. But qualification for the finals is just right around the corner. They've got one more best of 3 to get to those finals.
Yeah, one more best of 3, and that best of 3 will be coming up pretty soon, someday within the next week, if I'm not mistaken. But ladies and gentlemen, we have we will be saying goodbye for the day. I think the next stream will be another one of those knockout games, as we still have one left to go before we have the last 3 games that will bring us all the way into the finals. My name has been TW. You can find me over at twitter.com/TW_TV7. You can see my ad right there. Pooble, where can we find you?
People_ on Twitter. There's nothing much of value there, but if you want to check it out, go ahead. I'll be on at least a couple more ESA streams, I guess. I'll definitely be doing some next week. But yeah, one more week of Swiss stage, and then we're on to those finals. So without further ado, I guess us two are going to say goodbye. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
We'll see you next week.